On record today, following a petition yesterday for removal of the child, I authorized a petition as well as an emergency removal order. So today is the preliminary hearing required to follow a removal within 24 hours. We have had a bench conference and we'll tackle any comments about that after appearances.
Lee Heights, I'm filling in today for Ariel Berger as lawyer guardian ad litem.
Ms. Daja Thomas, counsel for the department. Ms. Jones.
Amanda Jones from the department.
Michael McFarland representing Mother.
Margaret Allison Gaff.
Thank you. Comments about the sidebar, Ms. Thomas?
Your Honor, I believe that Mr. McFarland just stated his client's intentions. We discussed where placement currently is with the LJL, and I believe we're just moving forward with the prelim today.
Yes, Your Honor.
I agree.
Very good. All right. Well, let's do it then. Okay. I understand also from our sidebar that your client would like the petition read onto the record. Is that right, Mr.
That is
McFarland?
true. I've advised her for rights for demanding a bench trial, Your Honor, and we would like to have the petition read.
Very good. And then do you know, can you confirm if your client has received a copy of the petition?
She has. She'll be following along as you read it. There is no Native American heritage. I've asked her about that.
Thank you. Any other cases that that might concern this child, like a guardianship or custody case?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, and you have advised for her rights?
I have.
So that's great. Just as a brief reminder, you are entitled to an attorney, which is why Mr. McFarland is here. If you choose to retain your own attorney, you're welcome to do that, and that person would just reach out to Mr. McFarland to get the information about the case file. You have the right to a bench or jury trial on the allegations in the petition, wherein the department has to prove those by a preponderance of the evidence to justify the jurisdiction of the court. You've asked for that, and we'll schedule that accordingly. As it relates to the allegations in the petition itself, I'm happy to review those on the record for you, as is also your right. The petition concerns Jamil 2024 in Adrian, Michigan. The allegations include that Ernest Conway is the father of the child, who is currently found in Wayne County Jail. There are apparently two potential fathers. Markeith Washington is also the other potential father, whose address is in Detroit. And then, of course, you are indicated as a respondent parent, Ms. Margaret Gale, and as currently residing in Tecumseh. On the next page, you'll find the allegations required by the statute under the stay-out form, including the allegation that there's been a violation of the statute, as well as the assertion that there are no other pending family division circuit court cases, which we've already reviewed with you on record. The allegations of the provisions of MCL 712A.2b 1 through 6 that are being violated include two. The first is the parent or other person legally responsible for the care and maintenance of the child, unable to do so, has neglected or refused to provide proper or necessary support, education, medical, surgical, or other care necessary for the child's health or morals, or that you've subjected the child to a substantial harm to his or her mental well-being, or abandoned the child without proper custody or guardianship. An aspect of the statute that's been alleged to have been violated includes the home or environment by reason of neglect, cruelty, drunkenness, criminality, or depravity on the part of the parent, guardian, or non-parent adult, or other custodian is an unfit place for the child to live. Paragraph 5 indicates the reasons why it's contrary to the welfare of the child for the child to remain in the home, which includes medical personnel expressed concerns for Margaret Gale's ability to provide basic care for the child. Margaret has provided minimal care for the infant, and hospital staff has done most of the feeding and diaper changes. And Margaret has fed the child. He is on his back in his bed with the bottle propped up, and she does not birth the baby after feeding. The infant has been found choking on the formula due to lack of burping, and Margaret does not react to help it. Paragraph 6 includes the reasonable efforts made to prevent the removal of the child include Romenica Charles and Virginia Hickman Hospital staff attempted many times to explain how to take care of the baby, but Margaret fails to provide necessary attention to the care to the infant. Margaret did receive prenatal care with Dr. Smolinski. Paragraph 7 indicates the specific allegations in reference to the addendum. Paragraph 8 indicates a request to authorize the petition and to issue an order removing the child. It was signed and verified by Hannah Trout and Ms. Daja Thomas. On September 4th, 2024, the petition was authorized on September 4th, 2024. The addendum indicates addendum to ex parte petition for removal in jurisdiction as to respondent mother, and I'll go over that with you since it's indicated on the scale form. Jurisdiction and venue. Margaret Gale is the biological mother of the subject minor. Margaret Gale named Ernest Conway and Markeith Washington as potential biological fathers of the subject minor. DNA testing is requested to establish paternity. The subject minor is not a member of or eligible for membership in a Native American tribe or band. Margaret Gale was asked on September 4th, 2024, and denied that she or the subject minor have Native American heritage. The subject minor is a resident of Lenawee County, Michigan. The subject minor is currently located with Margaret Gale at Permanency, Charles, and Virginia Hickman Hospital. 5, the incident of alleged neglect that occurred in Lenawee County, Michigan. Factual allegations. As to neglect, physical substantial risk of harm to mental well-being, unfit home environment, neglect, and intoxication. Paragraph 6, on or about 9/1/2024, CVS received a complaint alleging neglect by placing a child in unreasonable risk, or category 1, naming Margaret Gale as the perpetrator and baby boy Gale as the victim. Paragraph 7, there are concerns that Margaret is unable to safely or appropriately care for an infant or any child. The subject minor would be at a substantial risk of harm if in her care, details of which are outlined below. Substance use concerns. Paragraph 8, on 8/31/2024, Margaret presented to the hospital in an unstable state and appeared to be under the influence of substances and or in some sort of mental health crisis. Margaret then tested negative for all substances. 9, on 9/3/2024, Margaret agreed to take a drug screen. Results are pending. 10, Angela reported Margaret does have a history of substance use and has been in substance abuse rehab several times. Mental health concerns. Paragraph 11, there are concerns regarding Margaret's mental health. The nursing staff reported while Margaret was in labor, when the medical staff had to check for dilation, Margaret would cluck like a duck when the exam was being performed. Paragraph 12, Margaret reports that she is currently in counseling with Caroline Mobley and Dr. Parker is her psychologist. She denied taking mental health medication and stated her diagnosis was anxiety and ADD. Medical reports are requested. Paragraph 13, on 9/3/2024, the worker spoke to Margaret's counselor, Caroline Mobley. Caroline reports she does have concerns due to Margaret's mental health, homelessness, and substance abuse. Inability to safely parent. Paragraph 14, Margaret reported she received prenatal care with Dr. Smolinski. Records requested. 15, on 9/1/2024, Margaret and the minor subject were observed at Permanency, Charles, and Virginia Hickman Hospital. Margaret stated at that time she did not know who the father was or what the race of the child was. Margaret stated the fathers are affiliated with gangs but would not provide their names. Margaret reported she does have a counselor with whom she talks with her frequently. 16, on 9/1/2024, Margaret stated she did not have supplies for her minor child. She stated she had not bought the supplies because her parents had promised her that they would buy the car seat and bassinet. 17, on 9/1/2024, Dr. Rafiq stated she would not feel comfortable discharging the minor child home with Margaret because of the concerns noted while they were at the hospital and the lack of supplies for the child. 18, on 9/3/2024, the worker spoke to the hospital medical staff who are caring for Margaret and the minor subject reported the following concerns. A, that the nursing staff has had to provide most of the care for the minor child since birth. The staff stated Margaret would state she was tired, in pain, hungry, or had to use the restroom when they would ask her to change the baby's diaper or feed the baby. B, they found the baby on several occasions lying in the bassinet with a soiled diaper on and him laying on or swaddled in wet blankets or no blankets. They would have to ask Margaret to change the child. The child was also observed with no clothing on. C, staff reported on a few occasions Margaret stated that she had fed the baby, but no bottle was found in the room. D, on 2 occasions, the minor child was observed by staff lying in his bassinet, choking on spit up from not properly being fed and burped. Staff had to wake Margaret for her to react to what was occurring with the child. Margaret continues to feed the baby while he is lying in his bassinet, despite knowing the risks associated with it. E, the minor child was found propped up on Margaret's leg and a bed sheet across his face. The staff member had to instruct Margaret to take the sheet off the baby's face/head. On 9/3/2024, paragraph 19, safe sleep was discussed and a safety plan was established with Margaret. The safety plan was regarding her feeling overwhelmed with the child, asking for support, and substance use. 20, Margaret Gale has a 10-year-old daughter who has not been in her care and custody since she was 2 years old. Margaret's daughter has been adopted by her maternal grandparents, Angela and Gordon Gale. 21, on 9/3/2024, the worker spoke to Margaret's mother, Angela Gale. Angela reported Margaret had her older daughter, Ava Gale, in her care and custody until she was 1.5 years old. Angela reported if Margaret did not have the support of herself or her father, she does not believe she would have been able to take care of Ava's basic needs. 22, Angela provided the worker with the final decree of adoption. In case Margaret did not attend the court hearing. It was noted that Margaret has not had contact with the minor child since July 2016 due to drug addiction, and this condition makes her unlikely to provide minimally acceptable care for the minor child. Inability to provide for the child. 23, there are concerns regarding Margaret's ability to manage financial resources and provide proper care for the child. On 9/3/2024, Margaret reported to the worker she receives $250 daily from her parents, and she currently does not have employment. Margaret stated the barrier of her not buying supplies for her child was her mom stated she would buy them for her, but she did not. 24, Angela stated Margaret does receive $200 daily from her father, Gordon Gale's personal account. 25, there are concerns that Margaret does not have stable housing to provide a safe environment for the child. Margaret stated she and her roommates are moving into a home in Adrian, Michigan with the housing help of Lenawee. She reports they're currently staying at the Tecumseh Inn. 26. On 9/4/2024, the department spoke to Margaret's roommate, Justin Clement. He stated he and his girlfriend, Ann Vargas, brought the baby clothing, a car seat, and a bassinet on 9/3/2024. 27. Justin stated they currently are living at Tecumseh Inn. They are on a waiting list for an apartment. Justin and Ann stated they do not have employment. 28. Justin reports they, quote, rescued, quote, Margaret from an unsafe situation where she was previously living. Justin reported it was unsafe due to it being dirty and the people in the home taking advantage of Margaret. 29. There is no other arrangement reasonably available to adequately safeguard the child. As Margaret reports, she does not have any relatives that live in Michigan. Her only support is her roommates. Margaret could not provide the worker with relative names that would be able to provide care and support for the baby. Statutory citations. 30. Statutory grounds for adjudication. Based on the above stated allegations, jurisdiction is proper under the following subsections of MCL 7128.2b. The child is under the age of 18 and A, 1. The child's parent, when able to do so, neglects or refuses to provide proper care, proper or necessary support, education, medical, surgical, or other care necessary for the child's health or morals, who are subject to a substantial risk of harm to his mental well-being, who is abandoned by his parent, or who is without proper custody or guardianship, and B, 2. The child's home or environment with Margaret Gale by reason of neglect, cruelty, drunkenness, criminality, or depravity on the part of the parent is an unfit place for the juvenile to live in. 31. Statutory grounds for removal. Based on the above stated allegations and pursuant to MCL 712A.13A9, removal of the child from the respondent parent's care and custody is necessary, and placement of the child into foster care is necessary, as all of the following are true. A. Custody of the child with the parent presents a substantial risk of harm to the child's life, physical health, or mental well-being. B. No provision of service or other arrangement except removal of the child is reasonably available to adequately safeguard the child from the risk as described in subdivision A. C. Continuing the child's residence in the home is contrary to the child's welfare. Consistent with the circumstances, reasonable efforts were made to prevent or eliminate the removal of the child. D. Conditions of the child away from the parent are adequate to safeguard the child's health and welfare. Relief requested. 1. Authorize this ex parte petition for removal and jurisdiction as to respondent mother Margaret Gale. 2. Issue an order removing the child from the care and custody of his mother, Margaret Gale, placing the child in the care and custody of the department. 3. Set this matter for a putative father hearing. 4. Set this matter for an adjudication trial. And 5. Take jurisdiction over the child pursuant to MCL 712A.2b1 and 2. Respectfully submitted 9/4/2024 by Anastasia Thomas and Hannah Trout. There is, of course, the attachment as well, signed by, would appear, a member of the ProMedica staff. As the attending physician, supporting the allegations that were made in the petition. All right, I'm happy to look for a bench trial date for you. I'll just let you know, Ms. Gale, if you change your mind and wish to have a jury trial, you'll need to make that request in writing within 14 days, and that will be in the order as well to remind you. Ms. Thomas, while I'm looking for a date, would you be so kind as to let us know who you'll have to just confirm these allegations and the current situation as it relates to the child?
Thank you, Honor. Miss Amanda Jones would be the one to confirm it, as Miss Hannah Trout signed it on her behalf.
All right, Ms. Jones, come on up to our witness stand. All right, receive it well.
Thank you. Miss Jones, can you state how you are familiar with this matter?
I am the assigned CPS investigator.
And what steps did you take in your investigation to draft the petition that's before the court today?
I have met with the mother, Margaret Gale. I have contacted her current counselor, Carolyn. I have contacted her current roommates, Justin. We have attempted to contact the punitive fathers. I spoke with others of the staff from the ProMedica staff at the labor and delivery unit. I've also spoke to Dr. Rafiq, that was the rounding physician for the weekend.
And in your contacts during your investigation, did you learn about the allegations that were contained in this petition?
Yes, I did.
And is it your assertion that the allegations contained in the petition are true to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, they are.
And what are the main concerns for you as a representative of the department in the child's safety and welfare being in Miss Gale's care?
There's concerns that she could possibly not be able to take care of the child fully alone. There's concerns regarding homelessness. Although she tested negative for substances upon her admission, there are concerns regarding substance use and her past substance use. There's concerns about if she will be able to obtain housing, also employment, although she does receive a significant amount daily from her parents. It appears that she has not until this moment went and bought anything for the child, and the child did not have any supplies that were necessary to take care of him at her home.
And based on the petition, it seems that Miss Gale was aware that she was pregnant and was receiving prenatal care.
That is correct.
Okay. And as relates to the status of the child, did you ask Miss Angela Gale if her and the paternal grandfather were willing to do something less intrusive than filing this petition, such as maybe a guardianship or a power of attorney?
I did.
And what was their response?
They stated at this time they would be unable to take the child. I did also ask them about any relatives. They stated that they did have her stepbrother, but they were hesitant on giving me their contact information, but they did contact them themselves and text me back and stated that they were willing to take them as well.
And when you spoke with Miss Carolyn Mobley, the petition also indicates that she shared concerns similar to those contained in the petition. And is that true to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, it is.
And can you just, for the record, state who that individual is again?
That is Margaret's counselor.
At this time, does the baby have any special needs that require intensive treatment or supervision?
No, it does not.
Okay. Where is the current child currently placed?
The child is currently placed with the putative father's sister in Adrian, Michigan.
Okay. Were efforts made to contact the putative fathers?
Yes, there was.
Okay. And were any of them successful?
No, there were not.
Okay. Other than the two that are named, has Ms. Gale provided any additional names as to who might be the father?
No, she did not.
Is it your opinion that based on Ms. Gale's homelessness, lack of parenting skills, prior lack of engagement in parenting her other child, lack of money management to provide adequate housing or care for the child, that the child is at a substantial risk of harm if in the care and custody of Ms. Gale at this time?
Yes.
And are you asking the court to continue its authorization of this petition?
Yes, I am.
The other attorney, the parent attorney may ask if there's a recommendation regarding parenting time. Do you happen to have one at this point in time?
We do not, but we will follow, that'll go through the foster care worker and we will follow the policy, and we just request that it be supervised.
Okay. And just refresh our memory, I guess, or even for the record, do you know what policy is for a child of this age for parenting time?
I am not sure, for sure.
Okay.
Maybe 3 times a week, 2 hours, but I'm not for sure.
Okay, thank you for that. And the recommendation for supervision of parenting time, can you elaborate why that's the recommendation, or what risk would be posed if parenting time was unsupervised?
Just to ensure the child's safety with Margaret, make sure that all of his cares and needs are being met.
Based on your interactions with Miss Gale, do you have any concerns about her cognitive abilities to understand the child's needs?
It appears that she might, but I'm unsure if she does have any cognitive or if it's just lack of knowledge from not having a child in her care for so many years. But I'm unaware of any cognitive abilities, but she has lacked the knowledge.
Okay. The allegations in here that indicate the hospital medical staff who cared for Margaret reported concerns regarding the child spitting up from not being burped, from the sheets being over the child's head and potential risk of suffocation there. When were those shared concerns with you on multiple occasions or just one time?
They were shared with me once about multiple occasions.
Okay.
I also seen her feed the child and inside his bassinet while I was there visiting her. She did not pick up the child to feed the baby. She just propped the bottle up while the baby was laying in the bassinet.
Okay. Thank you. I have no further questions of this witness, Your Honor.
Cross-examination, Mr. McFarland?
Yes, you said my client is living at the Tecumseh Inn in Clinton, correct?
Correct.
Are you aware that they do have long-term residential stays there?
I am aware that they do, but I don't know if that's what she is in currently.
Then how can you say she's homeless if you don't know if she doesn't have a long-term stay there?
She stated that she is seeking apartment assistance through housing help. So, in the best of my knowledge, if they were going to stay there longer, I wouldn't know why they would have to find an apartment this soon.
You inquired of management if she's ever been late on her payments there?
I have not.
Have you inquired of management the type of stay that she has there?
I have not.
Is the apartment physically okay for her and the child?
I have not observed the apartment at this time.
So we really don't know a lot about whether she's homeless or not, correct?
Correct.
You indicated drugs is an issue, yet she took a drug test at the hospital and came up negative, correct?
Correct.
Gave her another drug test according to the petition, correct?
Correct.
You have the results of that yet?
No, I do not.
When was that given?
That was given, I seen her on Tuesday.
And is this something that you mail into someplace or what?
Yes.
I noticed in your petition it doesn't state whether this is a natural birth or a C-section. It was a C-section, correct?
Correct.
My client was given pain medication. You did check on that, correct?
Correct.
We don't have dates as to when the nurses reported any of these incidents, correct?
Correct.
So you don't know whether these incidents occurred while she was under the influence of the C-section pain medication, do you?
Correct.
What kind of medication was she under?
As far as I know, because I was there when the nurse stated it was some sort of pain medication. I don't know the exact. I know that she asked for it from the nurse when I was there.
Tell us what the side effects are of that.
I'm not a medical professional.
You don't know whether they may dim your ability to parent or not, do you?
No, I do not.
So how do we know that she wasn't under the influence of the meds when these incidents occurred? How do we know that?
Because there was, I'm not sure. I mean, there was a lot of incidents and
But we don't know the dates of these incidents.
Right.
So,
it was, they just stated to me it was over the weekend while she was in there.
we don't know how long she was on the pain medication either, do we?
No, I do not.
There's a possibility that she was under the pain medication when these incidents occurred, isn't there?
Your Honor, I'm going to object to this line of questioning. This is argumentative, and he may make these arguments, but believe that Ms. Jones has answered to the best of her knowledge that she's not a medical professional. She does not know the dates of the incidents or whether the incidents could be caused by her pain medication.
Let me rephrase that. I'll withdraw that. Is it my understanding that you didn't ask the question if she was on pain medication or its effects?
Correct.
When did you first visit her? How many days after the birth?
I visited on Tuesday,
Birth was on what day?
the 31st of August.
Which is what day?
Friday, Saturday, I think.
Okay. Did you provide her any literature as to parent?
Parent
Right, as
what?
far as a newborn?
No, I provided literature of, regarding safe sleep.
I don't see in here where there's a statement from a nurse saying that feeding that child in a crib was neglectful. That's not in your report, correct?
It's not neglectful, no, but not burping the child and the child spitting out, causing him to choke.
That's not really answering my question.
No.
The only question was about the feeding the bottle in the crib.
When they expressed that concern to me, they expressed to her that it's best for her to prop the child up so that he knows who's feeding him, so that they can create this bond and that they are able to take the feeding better than just being propped up in a bassinet.
They didn't say harmful, correct?
Correct.
Okay. You talked to my client, is it psychiatrist or psychologist?
I did not talk to the psychologist, no.
Talk to a therapist for her?
Counselor.
Counselor. Did you have a release from my client?
I did not.
Did you use a form to get this information?
She signed a release at the hospital for me. I did not send that to Carolyn. I was just checking in to verify that she was in counseling, and she just continued to tell me the concerns.
Okay, we're gonna have to take a recess in order to handle the other 1 o'clock case, Mr.
Yes, Your Honor.
McFarland. So thank you, Ms. Jones. We're gonna take a brief recess on this matter. We'll get back as soon as we can.
Sure.
All right, we are back on record. Ms. Maynard Jones, have you back up on our witness stand? I'll just remind you remain in the room. And you were in the middle of your cross-examination?
Well, can I have the court reporter read back my last statement?
No, it doesn't work that way.
It does on TV. Okay.
We're not that technologically advanced, Mr. McFarland.
Fortunately, I just refreshed my own memory. My client indicated that you presented a waiver to her to sign. I think you testified the same, correct?
Correct.
Did you determine if she was still under the effects of the C-section medication when she signed that?
No, I did not.
Did you read the entire waiver to her?
No, I did not.
Did you just flip through the pages, tell her this is a waiver, and have her sign the back page?
No, I did not. I explained to her what the paperwork does and what I could get from that paperwork when she signs it.
Can you tell us what you told her?
I told her that it was a release of information to get medical records for her and the baby admission to the hospital.
And what? And that was on the very first day you met her?
Correct.
You said it was like a Tuesday?
This is Tuesday.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Heise, questions?
Just briefly, with a newborn, it's policy to have the first visit within 7 days. Do you intend to do that for mother?
Yes.
And then also, per policy, twice a week for a newborn should be seeing the mother. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And then you also know that our local policy may be more frequent for this infant to maintain the bond. Do you know if the funds that mom receives on a daily basis are through a legal instrument, or is it a gift from her parents?
I've gotten 2 answers. I've gotten it was through a trust from mom, and I've also gotten that it was out of dad's personal account from her mom, Angela.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Any redirect, Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor.
Any recross?
Just one. She does make $200 or $250 a day. That's substantial. That's sufficient income to raise a child. Would you agree?
It is, yes.
Thank you for your testimony. Your turn to your seat.
Thank you.
Any other witnesses, Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. McFarland?
No, Your Honor, we are going to wait for the trial. My client indicates to me that there is no family or other placement where she would like the child.
Ms. Heise, anyone you'd like us to hear from?
No witnesses today. Thank you.
Comments in closing, Mr. McFarland?
Oh, Your Honor, we have some large gaps. There is an admission by the worker that my client did have a C-section. She was medicated. We have statements from the nurses, but we don't know whether their observations were from that time frame under which my client was medicated. The worker did see my client nurse the child in the crib, which nobody's at the hospital is indicating that is harmful to the child for just that short period of time. Concern with drugs, my client tested negative for drugs. There were some things that my client alleged to have done at the hospital. I don't know whether this was done while she was in the pain of labor or while she was under the perhaps influence of a controlled substance for the C-section. And the report is does not address that, Your Honor. And that's a very important time frame. Would be when my client is under some type of medication and was impaired because the hospital placed her under medication for a C-section. She's not homeless. She has a place. Appears to be suitable. She's not behind the rent. No testimony to that. No testimony that she's delinquent. She has sufficient funds. Presenting to me today very plausible, reasonable explanations, contributing to my questioning here. I don't see any where we have enough to take for removal, Your Honor. I guess the test would be now, how is she that she's out of the hospital? She's not under any perhaps postpartum or not still under the influence. I presume she's not on any type of medication, how she's performing. So we're asking that the child remain with her until there is a bench trial, which we're asking. We are asking that because this is a newborn, that rather than just 3 times per week at 2 hours per visit, that it be as generous as possible. So the bond between the infant, the newborn, and the mother can not only form, but be strengthened, which is very important during these formative days of new birth. We're asking for a trial as soon as possible.
Yes, Your Honor, I think that the proofs are sufficient for has been met. Standard proof has been met for the prelim. I would ask you to consider for removal that the test is whether there's a substantial risk of harm. And I think taken together, all the different incidents in the hospital show us that there is a risk of harm to the child's life, physical health, or mental well-being, and that there really, in this case, is no other arrangement that's reasonably available. She doesn't live, for example, with a family member, and there is a family member who could support her. There is conditions away from the home that with family that this child will be able to have all his needs met. So I would ask you to consider that reasonable efforts were made. Medical professionals have communicated to us that as a whole, all of these incidents demonstrate risk of harm to the child. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, for purposes of scheduling, I've secured a final pretrial date for October 1st, 2024 at 9 a.m.
Your Honor, may I be permitted to make a closing?
I'm sorry, Ms. Thomas.
That's
I
okay.
might know what you're going to say. You go right ahead.
Your Honor, we would just ask the court to find that probable cause standard has been met today, that at least one of the allegations in the petition are true. To the extent to continue the authorization of this petition moving forward. As it relates to the contrary to welfare findings, this court must make to continue the removal. We ask the court to consider the fact that we had a letter from a doctor who works with new mothers and newborns every single day, multiple parents a day. And we received a letter stating that this doctor had severe concerns about this mother's ability to provide for the child, which is outlined in the petition. I think that in and of itself alerts us that there are some significant deficiencies in this person's ability to safely parent a child of this age, specifically the inability to properly feed or hold and manage this child, to the extent that the child was choking on reflux or after being bottle fed. There were concerns about suffocation after finding the child with a blanket or a sheet over the child's head. Those are not within normal limits of a parent who has just experienced a C-section and on pain meds. This rises to the level that medical professionals felt the need that CPS needed to be involved, or that this mother needed additional teaching, and even with that, continued to express its concerns. And for those reasons, I also believe that that meets the criteria that no other provision of service or other arrangement except removal is available to adequately safeguard the child. This would not be appropriate for in-home jurisdiction. And we have found a fictive kin placement pending that putative father component. We may have had relative placement. The issues are not necessarily homelessness or financial abilities, but rather the mother's ability to utilize resources in a proper manner. This mother allegedly received prenatal care and still failed to maintain any materials for the child, such as bottles, clothing, diapers, wipes, all of which the hospital was agreeable to provide. But given the mother's significant financial assets, it's very concerning that she did not plan for that in advance. And we also do consider the history that this mother has with lack of providing care for another child, a history of substance abuse, the way she presented in the hospital. All of those things make us concerned for this child's welfare and the issues that need to continue to be investigated moving forward. So for those reasons, we are asking the court to continue the placement and order parenting time as directed by policy. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Thomas, and thank you for the outline of the facts in the case. I do agree with you that the requirements, and with the GAL for that matter, that the requirements for foster care pretrial placement have been met for the reasons that you highlighted. So I'm going to take judicial notice of your argument on that point. I certainly agree that despite clearly significant financial support, this mother did not prepare for the child, despite the fact that she had access to the advices of a doctor. We did have another doctor who expressed concerns, and we very rarely get an actual letter from a physician in support of a petition, and so that's clearly concerning. So the allegations do seem, on the face of them, I can see Mr. McFarland's argument. Certainly, someone who's been under some drugs may have a few issues for a bit, but I would also further agree with the GAL and the department that despite those things, there should have been a period of time where this mother was able to demonstrate the ability, capacity, or willingness, frankly, to take care of this child under the facts and circumstances that I have before me this afternoon. The fact that she made excuses when it was time to take care of the child, the fact that staff at the hospital regularly found the staff without, or regularly found the child without being changed, without being clothed. They would have to prompt the mother in order to do some basic care things for this child. I mean, this is an infant. This child certainly needs someone to take care of all of those things for the age that the child is at this time. We also have the support of her own parents who are taking care of another child for her that she doesn't see. So there's a lot of allegations in here that certainly need to be proven at the trial through verified and credible witness testimony. But based on the allegations that I have in front of me here today, I certainly find that there's a significant risk of harm in relying on this mother to take care of this child, to change it, to feed it, to make sure that that it is able to meet its developmental milestones. Even with the support of her roommates, I would agree also that it's further concerning that she's relying on her roommates who are also in what is temporary housing, according to their own remarks in the petition, to help provide for the child, and that she's relying on this temporary housing when she's receiving, according to her own comments in the petition, $200 a day. There's a lot of concern here about the amount of money coming into the household of the mother and the lack of responsibility in managing that, which certainly gives this court plenty of concern that this child would be at a substantial risk of harm if this mother were put in the charge of the care of the child. Also further find no provision or service or other arrangement is reasonably available to adequately safeguard the child. Relying on the roommates that don't have employment and aren't family members is not appropriate, and nor a long-term arrangement that would be able to support this request for placement with the mom, especially again in light of the comments made by her own parents that she needed their support in order to provide care for the older child that they then later adopted. For reasons I've already stated, I find continuing the child's residence in the home of the mother is contrary to the child's welfare. I do find further reasonable efforts were made to prevent or eliminate the need for removal, and that certainly comes as a result of the prenatal care advices of doctors and clearly your own support system by way of her parents that could have advised her, and she simply did not take the necessary measures that she needed to as a result of those services in order to make sure she was ready to take care of this child. And she certainly hasn't demonstrated those skills at this point. Conditions of the child away from the parent are adequate to safeguard the child's health and welfare. As a part of the placement with that putative relative, I will order DNA testing for both of our putative fathers that were named. I will also schedule a putative father hearing to take place in conjunction with our final pretrial prior to the bench trial. Final pretrial again will be October 1st at 9. The bench trial set for October 11th at 10 a.m. Ms. Berger, are you available?
I will be available for the first, hopefully, Your Honor, and the 11th, if I'm not available, I'll have coverage secured.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. I've set aside the whole day on the 11th, but of course, given the professional witnesses that may be necessary, I'll rely on Ms. Thomas to let us know if she needs any additional time for that bench trial at our final pretrial, which again will be October 1st, 2024 at 9 a.m. Visitation will be as according to policy. And if I haven't said it already, the child is in the safest and least restrictive circumstances at this time. Any questions?
Was that 9 both days, Your Honor?
9 o'clock for the pretrial, 10 o'clock for the bench trial.
10 o'clock, thank you.
Thank you. That's all. Pretrial and putative father hearing. Then introductions. Ms. Thomas, do you have a preference on which case we tackle first?
Let's do the putative father component first, and then we can, right? If Ms. Walsh, please swear in, please.
All right, Deputy Gaines, Ms. Bosher, come on up.
You raise your right hand. You swear?
A brief review, we've got the notice that was issued last time. Notice was sent out to the Department for Service, but I don't have any indication as to whether or not that was successful.
Thank you. Ms. Bosher, how are you familiar with the matter?
I'm the foster care worker.
And there, at the last hearing, I believe that there were 2 individuals who were named as potential biological fathers of this child. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Do you have any knowledge? Have you been able to contact either one of those individuals?
Yes, I've had very limited contact with them. I was able to send a notice of hearing to them through text. They both have stated that text is fine. They received them. I haven't heard anything. I provided the Zoom info as well to them. Haven't heard anything back from them. That's about it. I could give an update on the DNA.
Yeah, so I was just gonna ask, so when you provided that notice of hearing to them through text, did you submit a proof of service to the court?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Can you please do that by the end of the day?
Yes, I can.
Thank you so much for that. And as relates to DNA, so yes, please provide us an update with the DNA.
So I was able to get Ernest Conway scheduled for DNA and the baby scheduled for DNA. That was pushing out till November 22nd. So we've been in contact, me and my supervisor, Veronica Bresnay, and they were able to say that we could send us tests and essentially do it ourselves, and it'd be way quicker that way. And so that was about a week and a half ago. We haven't received any of the kits yet. We requested 3 of them to do both putative fathers and the baby. My supervisor actually sent an email this morning to follow up, seeing if they've been mailed out yet.
Wonderful, thank you for that. And for the other putative father that you were unable to schedule, do you know if he's willing to take DNA tests?
Yes, he is willing. I've sent in the request to schedule a DNA test for him. It hasn't been scheduled yet and sent back to me.
Sure, and assuming we're probably not going to need those appointments, given there'll be a kit sent to the agency, okay. Okay, well, thank you for your testimony. On that point, I have no further questions about regarding the putative father component.
Mr. McFarland?
No questions.
Ms. Heiss?
No questions, thank you.
All right, if you could, when you submit your proof of service, maybe even do some screenshots to help me understand in the clerk's office because I know when you testified, you said that they had responded actively to you. So just how you knew that was them and what they said would be great. Correct.
Thank you.
All right. What do you think as far as how you'd like to proceed on these topics?
Your Honor, it's my understanding that Ms. Gale would like to enter a no contest plea. And I have discussed with Mr. McFarland and Ms. Heiss if they would be willing to accept the testimony provided at the preliminary hearing as the factual basis for that plea. I will let Mr. McFarland explain why it would be a no contest plea, but if that's the case, then we would just like to move forward in that manner.
All right, well, before we go there, it doesn't seem like we've concluded anything as far as the putative father goes. Did you want to adjourn that, or how do you want to?
I do think we need a continuation at least of it, so we can do that. And it may be necessary to hold it with, I know that we'll have to have a dispositional hearing, but probably the next review if we're scheduling out that late for DNA. Thank you.
Any objections?
No questions.
No. All right, I'll grant that request then for the continuation of the putative father hearing, and we'll just set that with each hearing moving forward until we've got that resolved.
Thank you.
Mr. McFarland.
Yeah, I did have a lengthy office conference with my client advising of her rights to trial, etc. At this point in time, she has no recollection of the events mentioned in this. So she wishes to tender a no contest plea, Your Honor. I've gone over that with her, that the court would accept the allegations, the prior testimony of the worker as true, and then we'd move on to a case service plan, which is a roadmap of how to reunite and close the case. So I've gone over all that with her, and we would like to proceed with a no contest today.
So just so I understand, most of the things that are just addressed in a petition span over time between September 1st and looks like September 4th. Is that the time frame you're talking about?
It is, Your Honor.
All right. Do we know why, or is she comfortable talking about why she may not have any recollection of those events?
One moment, Your Honor. She had an emergency C-section, Your Honor. She was under a lot of narcotics.
For 3 days?
I was still on, yes, ma'am, Mr. Honor, I was still on,
She was still on the pain medicine, so.
Ms. Thomas, Ms. Heiss?
But I wonder if she's willing to acknowledge that the issues that happened are something that she needs some support on to improve her parenting, or if because she didn't remember, she doesn't feel that these are weaknesses in her parenting. I guess I'd like to know that.
I can address that, Your Honor. In the office, I let her know what would typically be included as far as something of this nature, how there'd be a psychological evaluation. I should have to follow all the recommendations of that. Would there be parenting classes? There may be budgeting classes where we'd have to provide proof, and we'd assist her with transportation, housing, any substance abuse, if that were issues. So she's aware of the plethora of services that will likely come out as a result of the family team meeting and preparation of the case service plan. So she is aware of that. Discuss that.
Ms. Thomas? What are your thoughts? I know we addressed this just briefly in a sidebar before I took the bench, and so I apologize if this issue comes as a surprise, but I do have concerns about understanding. I mean, there are plenty of people that go through a situation like that. So, I mean, is there a more specific time frame or some specific numbers that you want to refer to as bits and pieces, Mr. McFarland? It's just hard for me to accept that for a period of 3 days, your client was unable to remember anything without any further explanation other than the C-section.
No, Your Honor, she was under narcotics, painkiller narcotics, and she came to me that she really does not have it's just a blurry memory of what occurred during that period. So she wouldn't really be able to enter a type of plea. And I did go over each and every one of the items in the petition with her, Your Honor.
So is she of the position that that's painkillers from the hospital, or was that painkillers from a different source?
From the hospital. Yes.
I wonder if she would acknowledge that housing was weak at the time and that she didn't have equipment for the baby yet to go home in 25 and 26 paragraphs. 23. Those weren't necessarily on that day. They were true outside of that period of time when she was anesthetized. Or
I have discussed with her, Your Honor, about the necessity of having to provide all the essentials for a child, and that would be in the case service plan.
Okay, so the child was actually born August 31st. There were, yeah, it's essentially from the 31st to the 3rd, and most of the allegations.
And that's what my client is saying, that she was heavily under the influence of pain medication, Your Honor, and doesn't remember the allegations regarding the failure to be able to properly care for the newborn child. The allegations in there, just doesn't have those recollections. So.
Ms. Thomas, what do you think?
Your Honor, I believe that it's possible if Ms. Gill is indicating she did not have recollection of the time from when she entered the hospital until after birthing. I believe that is acceptable. I think that Ms. Heist's position is also valid. There are things that existed before hospitalization, such as not having any supplies or being ready to prepare or being prepared to provide care for the child. It's tricky because the dates that were supposed to go, what was true at the time of the petition, and the dates that are included are based on the investigation dates, and they would fall under the time frame in which she's claiming there's no recollection. So to accept the court's willing to accept that, I think it's appropriate.
Okay. All right, well, that is technically speaking a reason for the court to accept a no contest plea. And Mr. McFarland, as long as you explain to your client that the things that have been identified in this petition will have to be addressed by your client, whether or not she remembers them being issues. If she's willing to do that moving forward, that's all we're really asking.
She is, Your Honor. Maybe want her, before that she understands that I've had a conversation, but that was the conversation that we had. About an hour in duration in my office.
Deputy Ames, would you please swear in Ms. Margaret Gale? All right, Ms. Gale, do you understand that if you enter a no contest plea, you're essentially, without having to admit it, allowing me to consider that all the allegations in the complaint are true, and then there would be a case services plan put together in order to help address those issues that were raised in the petition?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. McFarland, did you talk with her about reading the petition?
I did. We would waive that. We've had an opportunity to go with that.
All right. Ms. Gale, you're familiar with the allegations in the petition?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. All right. If I accept your no contest plea, you're giving up your right to a trial by judge or jury, the right to have the petitioner prove the allegations in the petition by a preponderance of the evidence, the right to have witnesses against you appear and testify under oath at trial, the right to cross-examine witnesses, and the right to have the court subpoena any witnesses that you believe could give testimony in your favor. Do you understand you'll be giving up or waiving the rights I've just indicated to you if you enter a no contest plea?
Yes, Your Honor.
With regard to the consequences of your plea, or in other words, what will happen, the court will do the following. It will be continued investigation by the caseworker to see what the problems are in your family and how and whether they can be solved. The court could dismiss the case if there's no need for the court to be involved. If it appears that there's a problem that may be solved, the court can make the child a temporary ward of the court, placed with mother or with relatives or in a foster home, and order programs for you and your child, such as counseling, drug and alcohol treatment, assessments, and parenting classes. If it appears that you'll not be able to provide a proper home for the child in the reasonably foreseeable future, the court can terminate your parental rights. In regard to the plea itself, the plea can also later be used as evidence in a proceeding to terminate your parental rights. Do you understand the consequences of your plea?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have any questions about any of the information I've given you so far?
Yeah.
All right. Are you under the influence of drugs, alcohol, or anything else that could get in the way of you understanding what you're doing right now?
No, Your Honor.
Is anyone making you enter a no contest plea?
No, Your Honor.
Has anyone promised you anything in order to get you to enter a no contest plea?
No, Your Honor.
Would you say your decision to enter a no contest plea is one of you've made of your own free will?
Yes, Your Honor.
As to the factual basis of the plea, they would like me to simply consider the facts and circumstances in the petition as well as what came through during the last hearing. Do you understand that, Ms. Gale?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. McFarland?
Yes, Your Honor. That's why I had discussed it.
All right. Ms. Heist, are you amenable to that as well?
I am, thank you.
Very good. Well, as it relates to that, I do find that many of the allegations around what happens before and at the time of the child's birth do constitute a violation of the statute, namely the housing instability that Ms. Heist mentioned already. It's clear that Ms. Gale does have some resources that she's receiving or has access to and was not managing those in a way to support herself or the child or prepare for the child's birth. And there are also concerns about her ability to take care of the child at the hospital that were noted by hospital staff, even to the extent that I received a letter from staff at the hospital indicating the nurses were concerned that mother was not taking care of the baby as needed. I'll quote, frequently asking nursing staff to change diaper and feed the baby and not showing initiative of baby care. Also, mother reported she has no supply for baby and her living situation also did not seem stable given she was staying in a hotel with friends, end quote. There are also concerns in the petition regarding some substance use. So I do find that all of those things contribute to creating an unsafe environment for the child at the home, because we're not really at the home in the care of Ms. Margaret Gale, since there isn't a home proper at the time of the petition, and that constitutes a violation of the statute. specifically sections 712A.2B1 and 2. All right, are the attorneys satisfied with the factual basis of the plea and the advice of rights?
Sure.
Yes, just one more thing to add, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
I've asked my client about the equal issue, no Native American heritage, and she believes none on the possible putative fathers.
Thank you. Yes, I do have that. We addressed that as well at the prelim. Okay. Ms. Gale, is there anyone else we should be investigating that you know of for purposes of finding the legal father of this child?
No, ma'am, no.
Just Mr. Conway and Mr. Washington?
That's it.
Okay. All right, the court finds the plea to be knowingly, understandably, and voluntarily made. Our next hearing is the initial disposition, Ms. Gale. So between now and when we come back, you'll be sitting down with one or more of the department representatives to put together a plan to tackle the things that I put on record today that cause the court to have concern for your child and your care. Are you prepared to bring your best efforts to the table to tackle those things?
Yes, Your Honor.
We have
This plea will resolve the October 11th court date.
yes. Does that give the department enough time though?
Your Honor, I don't believe that all parties are available that day.
That is accurate.
So I was going to suggest 11 o'clock on Tuesday, October 22nd. Does that work for everyone?
Yes, Your Honor.
I will let Ms. Berger know.
All
And
right.
what time was that, Your Honor?
That would be 11 a.m. on Tuesday, October 22nd.
That's fine with my client too, Your Honor.
All right, very good. So that will be our next date to look at the putative father issues again, as well as the initial disposition for Ms. Margaret Gale. Are there any other issues for the record today, Mr. McFarland?
None here.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Good luck. We'll see you October 22nd at 11
Off the record, Your Honor, my client will have a change of address. She'd like.
for initial disposition for mom, as well as for putative father hearing. May I have the names of our participants, please? Oh, do we have our guardian ad litem?
Your Honor, my
Ms.
notes
Underwood?
indicate that, no, my notes indicate Ms. Berger is the LJL in this matter. At the last hearing, Ms. Heiss was able to fill in for her, but I was under the impression that Ms. Sting was going to be the one providing most coverage. So I'm not sure if she knows about this hearing.
I'd like me to call the public defender's office.
Ms. Stang was confirmed by the public defender's office just a few minutes ago, but she may not remember it herself.
Don't have a phone number for her on my phone. I can have my office call.
I'll follow up on it.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead with the rest of our appearances. She appears shortly.
Michael McFarland, representing mother, please introduce yourself.
Margaret Allison Gale, mother.
Ms. Sasha Thomas, counsel for the department. Ms. Bosher.
Hunter Bosher, foster care worker with Catholic Charities.
Good, thank you. Well, as it relates to the putative father matter, I know we had adjourned because we were looking for DNA testing to be arranged. Did you want to address that, Ms. Thomas, or do you want to wait for our GAL on all points?
I think that we could probably address the putative father component and maybe summarize once our GA or LJL is with us. So on that, I would ask Ms. Bosher to be sworn in.
We have somebody else joining us here?
Heather Barris is attempting to connect. She's
Oh, okay.
successfully out. Ms. Bosher. Thank you. Ms. Thomas.
Thank you. Ms. Bosher, as it relates to the putative father hearing, I believe at the last hearing, you indicated you'd sent the putative fathers a notice of hearing. Have you been able to file a proof of service with the court with the screenshots of those messages?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And you also indicated that you were waiting on kits for, from the DNA company. Did you receive those yet?
Yes, I did.
In process.
Okay. Were you able to complete any of the DNA kits for either of the putative fathers?
Not at this time. I could explain more on that.
I was just going to, so let's start with just, if you want to start with one and then kind of go through the facts of that one and then do the other one, okay?
Yes, of course. So I'll start with Ernest. He has been a very hard man to find. I have a log of all my attempts that I've kept, which I can also file with the court after this. But to my knowledge, he doesn't have a phone number. So I've messaged him on Facebook with all of his different accounts. I think I found 4 of them that I've messaged him on. I've been reaching out to the, I guess, the number that I do have for him. I don't believe it's him, as the voicemail doesn't sound like him. But yesterday I was driving home from my lunch break, or not home, to my office, and I spotted Ernest and Margaret walking down the street. So I pulled over to talk to them briefly and talked to both of them. And I was like, Ernest, I really need you to do this DNA testing. Will you please head to my office right now? They said that he can definitely head to the office. And so that's where I went to wait for them. They called me probably half an hour later, stating that they'll come at 3:30. And so then I think probably 15 minutes later from that initial call, they called to reschedule for today. So Ernest is supposedly coming to my office today at 1 p.m. To do that DNA testing. On to Markeith. He is easier to get in contact to. The phone number that I did have, it appears to be a woman. I assume it's his girlfriend that he lives with, someone he resides with, because whenever I call her, she'll answer and either say she's not with him right now or hold on a couple of minutes, I'll go get him. So I told him on 10/14 that I definitely need him to come to the office. I can send him my office address, that I'll be there. He can come DNA test. He said that he can come if it's the right time. I said, come anytime, I'll do it. Someone will do it for you. So I provided him the office address again on 10/14, and then he didn't show up, unfortunately. On 10/21, I provided him the office address again. He reached out to me yesterday on a new phone number that he said was his. And he said he could come do the DNA testing today, and so I've scheduled him for 2 p.m. today. If he does not show up, I guess my next move would be going to his last known address and hoping that he's there.
Did you inform either one of them of today's court hearing?
I informed Ernest yesterday when I saw him. He asked if he should show up, and I said the judge would greatly appreciate it if he would be there.
And then, Markeith, the last time that he knew about court was for our October 1st hearing. Is that correct?
That sounds correct.
And since then, has Ms. Gale indicated any other potential putative fathers?
No, she has not. I have asked her and she confirms that it's only those 2 possibilities. Markeith's stand is that he does not believe he's the father at all.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I have no further questions as relates to the putative father component, Your Honor.
Mr.
Are these mouth swab kits?
Yes.
You probably have one in the car, right?
I brought the DNA testing to here. It's in my car.
Oh, okay.
Just in case he did show up, I did bring it.
Nothing further.
All right, so at this point, we still don't have our GAL. Oh, yeah, we don't have our GAL. So I think we're gonna have to, we may want to just consider a full-on adjournment, considering how close we are to the lunch hour and the fact that this stay may be occupied otherwise. Your thoughts, Ms. Thomas?
Your Honor, I think that's appropriate. And I also think that it would be best if we provided another notice of hearing to the putative fathers. You know, if they would like to appear at the next hearing, they can have that opportunity in addition to completing the DNA testing. So I'm in agreement with an adjournment.
Mr. McFarland?
Now, my client's already reviewed the proposed case service plan. She's totally agreeable with that, Your Honor. I don't know, we don't mind waiting another 10 minutes. I don't anticipate this being long or lengthy. There's nothing contested for the day. So just my thoughts. I know it's kind of hard getting a date to come back. It'll be down the road. So I wouldn't mind waiting another 10 minutes or 15 even.
Okay.
Just a thought.
That's fine. Any objection to that, Ms. Thomas?
No, I think that I like the idea of having an adjournment just for the putative father component, but I think that if we have, you know, we'll set it with the next review and hopefully have a more substantive hearing then as well. So I'm fine with that as well.
Perhaps just a thought, Your Honor. I don't mind bifurcating it, having the putative fathers on another date and just proceeding with my client if the guardian ad litem does show up. That way she could get credit for the case service.
Well, it sounds like we're gonna just adjourn the putative father anyway.
I'm sorry I'm not able to join you in the courtroom. I'm still battling a terrible cold, so I'm not going to cough all over you or all over the record. But I am joining you, very able to hear you, and I have the file in front of me, which is great. May I have the names of our participants, please? Oh, can you hear me okay?
We
Yeah,
can, Your
just waiting
Honor.
for the LJL.
Oh, sorry. Alexis Stang, LGAL, filling in for Ariel Berger.
Ms. Tasha Thomas on behalf of the department.
Hunter Bosher, Catholic Charities, foster care worker.
Michael McFarland, because mother is here, I am here, even though it's not our hearing, Your Honor. Please introduce.
Margaret Allison Gale, mother.
Your Honor, as a preliminary matter, we are here for Ms. Gale. Like, there's no father at this point in time. At the last hearing, the LJL was not present. And then the court wanted more information from Ms. Bosher as relates to efforts to locate and notify the putative fathers, and then a brief update on a court report and the case service plan.
You're right.
My
I
copy
totally
didn't
read
kick
that
in.
wrong.
Apologies, my copy didn't kick in, so yes, I'm worried.
And I just read it wrong. So thanks for getting us on the right track there, Ms. Thomas. Ms. Stang, would you like to begin with the update as it relates to the children?
Yes. So Ariel did meet with the minor child on September 25th of 2024 at the home. The placement reported that Jamil had been sleeping well, but that he still is up a lot at night. But obviously for a 1-month-old, that is not unusual. It was also reported that the placement and her husband work opposite shifts. So there is always somebody home with Jamil that can get up with him during the night when that's necessary. The placement was working on getting daycare set up for Jamil and requested some vouchers for that. It was reported that there have been no visits by either parent at that point in time, but that the foster placement was supportive of the parents and was willing to send them updates on Jamil. Jamil was clean and appropriately dressed when the LGAL visited, and the home was a bit messy as reported, but not to the point of any concern. Jamil seems to be well adjusted and was reported to be meeting milestones and had a lot of supporting family members in the home. And Ariel's recommendations were that all prior orders from the court still remain the best interest of the minor child and that those should remain in effect. Judge, you are muted currently.
That's so you didn't have to listen to me coughing a minute ago. Ms. Underwood, welcome. And what brings you in?
I believe, Judge, I thought we had an 11 o'clock for Kenzie Wright.
Ah, yes. We're a bit behind schedule, so we'll be with you on that one in a few minutes.
No problem.
Okay. All right. Okay, Ms. Thomas, how would you like to start?
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll call Ms. Bosher just to provide an update with her court report and the documents contained therein.
All right. We have someone who's joined us also from BLU B170D. Sir, would you give us your name, please?
Marquise Washington.
Okay, great. You're here on this particular file. That's great news because today is a putative filer hearing. So we'll be able to hear from you if you would like to contribute. So do you...
Your Honor, my client from the next case is also on the screen, just to let you know.
Ms. Lemley, is that who that is?
Yes.
All right, you'll be in the waiting room for just a few minutes. Okay. All right, Ms. Kudron, if you could try our presets to see if we can.
Yes.
Awesome.
There you go.
Thank you. Ms. Bosher, thank you for providing a court report with the several attachments. As it relates to your court report, are there any updates or modifications that you're aware of that need to be made for the record?
Yeah, there's a few.
Okay, go ahead whenever you're ready.
So DNA has been completed and picked up. FedEx picked it up yesterday. I received a notification. So hopefully that comes back soon. In regards to Ernest, I was made aware that he was in jail. I'm unsure if he's still in jail or if he's been released. There's some like conflicting notifications. Some online websites like MDOC state that he's been discharged, but the Wayne County jail roster say that like he's still in there. So I'm confused if he's still in there actually or not. I tried calling this morning. I've had a very difficult time over the past few days getting the sheriff's office on the phone. So that's still undetermined at this point. In regards to Margaret Gale, she did clarify that she's not employed at this time. I've had two drug screens come back. So on 10/22 of 2024, that was all negative. 10/23 of 2024, she was positive for THC. And then in regards, I guess just a small update that I should note for parenting time. Since Jamil is located in Jackson now, I have asked Margaret to think about, I guess, not shortening her parenting time, but doing it 2 times or once a week for 2 hours instead of 2 times a week for 1 hour. Just because of the distance that the baby does drive. She did let me know that she wants to stay with her 1 hour twice a week, and that's about it.
Thank you. And currently, what is the permanency goal for the child?
Reunification.
And as part of the reunification efforts, did you have an opportunity to talk with Ms. Gale and develop a case service plan?
Yes, I did.
And do you believe that the case service plan as developed with Ms. Gale adequately addresses the conditions that caused the child to come into care?
I do.
Okay. Has Ms. Gale participated in any voluntary services since removal until today?
Drug screening through forensic fluids.
Have any referrals been made for any of the elements of her case service plan?
Not at this time. I think the first referral that will be made is supportive visitation, as I've talked about it with her already.
Do you have an estimate on about how long that will be before you make?
I was planning on, it's a phone call, it's very short. I can do that early as Monday.
Okay. Ms. Gale, your report indicates is receiving mental health services from a psychiatrist and a therapist. Were you able to obtain any releases from her to confirm participation?
Yes, I have a release for her counselor, Carolyn Mobley, and her psychiatrist, Dr. Parker. Carolyn Mobley has the release. She's on PTO right now, so she said she will send me the requested documents when she gets back. For Dr. Parker, we had a phone call. He gave me his email. There was miscommunication on what the email is. It was undelivered. I got the proper email today and it has been sent to him today.
Okay, wonderful. Let's see. As far as like the psychological and parenting education, do you know which service providers you would be sending referrals to at this time?
No, not specifically.
Okay. Sorry, just kind of going through your court report to make sure we kind of touch on everything. As relates to parenting time, it looks like there were a few misses, 4 misses, 4 or 5 missed visits in October as of the date that you submitted this. Were there any other missed visits, or has Ms. Gale engaged in her parenting time?
Ms. Gale has been engaging in her parenting time.
Are there any concerns about her ability to parent in a supervised environment?
In a supervised environment, not at this time.
Okay. And is she coming prepared for parenting time?
No, she has not. The baby has been changed formula. She's been attempting to get it, but she does not have the money for that right now. So placement has been providing all the necessary items.
There in your court report, excuse me, there's there's a few drug screens that are in there and all of them are negative. And then there's one that's positive for several substances. And it looks like it was confirmed or validated by the forensic fluids individuals. Were you able to review that with Miss Gale?
Yes, I was.
And did she request to be rescreened or to have that done again, or did she indicate what happened that day?
She did state that it needs to be looked at again, and I assured her that Forensic Fluids usually does that double testing. And she denied it and didn't really have an explanation, and then it kind of just ended at that.
One of the things in the petition, the original petition, indicated that despite Ms. Gale receiving pretty significant financial support from her parents, she didn't have adequate or appropriate materials or preparation for the child. You just indicated that she's not coming to parenting time prepared. Do you know if there's been a change in that arrangement with her parents?
I don't think there's been a change in the arrangement. She has notified me that she got her bank card stolen. So she did notify me about a week ago that her dad was overnighting one to her, but I don't think she has got that yet. I don't know if it's been ordered, if that.
Okay. And do you have any updates where Ms. Gale is living?
I believe she's in a homeless shelter at the moment.
All right. As relates to the putative fathers, you've provided a proof of service that you personally served them the order of continuation for the putative father hearings. Thank you for that. We have obviously Mr. Washington present. Other than that contact with Mr. Conway, I believe that's his last name, have you spoke with him after you served him, and whether he indicated if he wanted to participate in these hearings?
Since I've served him, no, I have not made contact with him. He doesn't have a phone. He's kind of hard to get a hold of. I'm pretty sure he got picked up with Lenaway on the 26th. And so I'm not sure if he wants to participate.
Thank you. Hang on one second. Mr. Washington, first of all, you're technically in a courtroom, so I'm going to ask you to remove your hat, please. And then that's okay. And also, we're going to need you to keep your device on mute until and unless it's your turn, because that cuts down on some of the background noise that can interfere with us understanding each other on the platform.
Okay, can I ask you a question real quick, please?
Go ahead.
I'm kind of like busy for real, but I agree to cooperate. So if I can be excused for this one right here, and I will be to the next one where I keep in contact with the worker that's in contact with me.
That does seem to make sense to me. I was actually going to run that by you, Ms. Thomas. It sounds like from Ms. Boscher's testimony that the testing has been completed, but we don't have the results back. Is that accurate?
That is my understanding of the testimony as well, and I have no objection to Mr. Washington leaving. I believe his appearance here today indicates that if that he was properly served, then also he intends to engage if DNA shows he's the father.
No objection.
Okay.
No objection.
Okay, Mr. Washington, we typically kick these out for a review every 3 months, which would be for us, that looks like what's this? So that would put us end of January. So is the morning or the afternoon better for you?
Morning. It don't matter. Morning.
All right. So how about Tuesday, January 21st at 10 a.m. Will that work for you?
Yes, if I can get it. If they can get it like sent to my email or something, I appreciate it. Just so I don't forget, because I got a lot going on.
Yep, that's reasonable. Does the worker have your email address?
She got my number and everything.
Okay. All right. So we can get that from her then at the end of today's hearing?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we'll send you a copy of the email with the notice, but we'll see you January 10th at 10 a.m.
All right. Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Did you say January 10th or January 21st, Judge?
Sorry, January 21st.
Okay.
Okay, all right, well, that's fine. We'll email them too. All right, go ahead with your next question, Ms. Thomas.
Thank you. Actually, Your Honor, I don't think that I have any other questions of Ms. Bosher at this time and would move to admit the court report with its attachments.
No objections.
No objections.
All right, thank you. They received cross-examination, Mr. McFarland.
I believe at our last court hearing, my client consented to being ordered into the case service plan, right?
Correct.
I got a fan right above. And does she need to meet with you to discuss further? What should be her priorities? Let me ask you that.
I think her priorities is all the aspects of the case service plan and just starting her services once we get those referrals set up and just fully committing to all of them.
Well, there's a lot. So if we need to prioritize, because oftentimes it's hard to do everything, if she needs to focus, is there any place where she needs to put her focus?
I think her initial focus is keeping up with consistent parenting time, and once we get the supportive visitation, following through with that and being compliant with that. Housing seems to be an issue at this point. I think that would be a major focus. And then consistent drug screening, as she has been doing.
Now, the housing should be housing to accommodate herself and the child, am I correct?
That is correct.
In the future, if she tests positive, would you be advising her that she has a right to, or that she can have it tested independently on her own if she wishes to? Is that something you would do?
Yes.
She's had consistent parenting time lately, you testified, correct?
Yes.
This baby is located where?
In Jackson County.
Okay. So you know this court typically awards a parent 3 visits at 2 hours a visit, correct?
I'm not aware of that, no.
So rather than 6 hours, she's now getting how many hours of parenting time?
A week, 2.
2 hours. Okay, so 2/3 less. If this court orders more or less, well, let me go. With a newborn child, there's really an urgency for the child to bond with mother if the goal is reunification, correct?
Correct.
So the more frequently a child is meeting with mother, the more likely there will be a bond formed with a newborn child, correct?
Correct.
Would you, if my client continues the parenting time, do you foresee expanding parenting time?
Yes, that is definitely an option.
What are we looking for? What needs to be done? I mean, how soon could we expand parenting time since she is now attending parenting time?
I think we definitely need some time to think about that decision. She has attended, I would say, 3 in a row since I have found her on the side of the road and basically got her back into being compliant. She did go on at about, I think, an 18-day streak of being unknown of where her whereabouts is and no contact, not showing up to parenting times and so forth. So
are you requesting that she call a certain time before parenting times to confirm that she's going to attend?
She does that already.
Okay. And my client, I believe she's going to be taking parenting classes, correct?
Correct.
She seems a little confused on that. Is that something that she should call you and discuss what type of parenting classes and where?
Yeah, we can discuss that in person at our next parenting time as well.
Okay, thank you. Nothing further.
Questions, Ms. Stang?
Just briefly. Have you been the one that's actually supervising the parenting times that have occurred?
Yes, except for, I don't know the specific date, but there was one where I was in another court hearing, and so my supervisor covered half of it. But
Okay.
yes, I'm present at all of them.
Okay, and when you have been supervising those parenting time visits that have occurred, how does Jamil seem to do during them? Is he healthy? Is he, happy? What have you observed?
He seems content. All he does at his age is basically eat and sleep and is held by Margaret the entire time. There's not much more that happens.
Okay, thank you. I have nothing further.
Any redirect, Ms. Thomas?
Briefly, Your Honor, if I may, there are a couple of attachments that I did not touch base on in my original line of questioning, so it's outside the scope of other questions that have been asked, but I think goes
No
towards
objection.
parenting. Oh, thank
No
you, Ms. McFarland.
I have no objection either.
Thank you. Ms. Bosher, included in your court report I couldn't really tell if there's two separate medical encounters or just one medical encounter with Henry Ford and Jackson.
Yes, so that, I believe Margaret was at a gas station, I believe, and she didn't know where to go, and I think her C-section was hurting her, so she called the ambulance and they took her to the hospital in Jackson. This was when I initially couldn't find her when I first got the case, and she was in Jackson for that period of time. And then she relayed to me that she was in the hospital for a short period of time. And that was one of the reasons why I couldn't find her initially.
Okay, thank you for kind of giving us some context to that. In the reports, there's, it looks like at the initial encounter that she seemed out of sorts, so to speak, and maybe a little incoherent or confused. Were you able to speak with those medical providers to understand a little bit more about what that meant? Or were you just able to get the documents?
Amanda Jones was the one who was able to reach out and get the documents. It was not me at that time.
Okay, so the CPS worker did. Okay, thank you for that. And in your conversations with Ms. Gale, has she ever disclosed to you any mental health or mental illness diagnoses that may explain this type of incoherence that's documented in these medical encounters?
She has disclosed that she does have ADHD, I believe. I haven't received any documents proving that at this time.
Okay. All right. Thank you. What are the concerns about increased parenting time for Ms. Gale right now?
I think the concerns are just her ability to care for the child. From the hospital records, initially at birth, there was concerns for her ability to do basic parenting skills. There has been, I believe, only 5 parenting times at this time. I do not believe that I have had the best observation to be able to determine if her parenting skills are appropriate.
Okay. Thank you for that information. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. McFarland?
Brief follow-up. At the visitations you watched, did she have to change a diaper? Was that need? Did that arise?
Yes.
And she did that adequately, correct?
Yes.
And did the need arise that the child had to be fed or nursed?
Yes.
Did she do that adequately?
Yes, I've never seen her make a bottle because they always come prepared already.
Make a what?
Make a bottle because they always come prepared. So I would say she was able to feed him with the prepared bottle.
And when the child needed attention, she was able to provide the child attention, correct?
Correct.
So in a supervised setting, are there really any concerns in a supervised setting for expanded parenting time?
I think just at this time, more observation is needed. We've only had 5 parenting times, which is a total of 5 hours. I don't want to make that decision right here, right now.
But in those 5 hours, she's not done anything inappropriate, correct?
Correct.
And you would have noted to us that she appeared to be under the influence of anything, and that was not the case, correct?
Correct.
Lastly, what do you want her to bring? Should she bring diapers? Should she bring formula already made, or do you want to see her make it in front of you, just so we know?
Yes, I have given her a visitation guideline that does state the necessary items that should be brought, but the basic necessities, diapers, wet wipes, cream if that's necessary, bottle, formula. She did bring a pre-made formula one time, but that is up to her decision and her ability to get the type of formula that he's on.
So you're okay with her not making that in front of you then, right?
Correct.
Okay, nothing further.
I have no redirect.
Okay, all right, thank you. Any additional questions after cross, Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you for your testimony. May you return to your seat?
Thank you.
Your next witness?
No one else, Your Honor.
Mr. McFarland?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Stang?
No, thank you.
Okay, comments in closing.
Thank you, Your Honor. Today, we're just asking the court to formally enter an order for the case service plan so that Ms. Gale can start making progress on that towards reunification. I think that parenting time should just be left at the discretion of the agency per policy, obviously with the goal for reunification. And as the case progresses, parenting time would also increase. Right now, I would refer to this period of time as a period of stabilization that needs to occur to ensure that mom is in fact meeting all of her own mental health and physical health needs. The reports from the Henry Ford encounter are a little concerning about her behaviors. And then to have this kind of random drug screen in there that shows the use of some pretty significant drugs is also concerning. And so I think getting some of those issues stabilized and also getting that supportive visitation in there. As this court is aware, the reason for the petition, one of the reasons is the lack of knowledge of how to care for an infant. And I think that allowing mom some time to stabilize herself, progress, and getting to know this infant and her child, and practicing some parenting skills and gradually increasing would be most appropriate. And I trust that Ms. Bosher would respect that. And with that, Your Honor, we are just asking for that 90-day review, I'm guessing to be held with an exputative father hearing, at which time I'm hopeful we have DNA tests back. As soon as DNA tests are back, I believe Ms. Bosher would inform the parties and allow an opportunity for the father to begin establishing a relationship if determined to be appropriate. So that is on our radar as well. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. McFarland.
Your Honor, bonding with a newborn is very important, and my client's concerns are that just the short visits that she has, and if the goal truly is reunification, that really doesn't promote a bond in reunification. Rather than just leave it purely at the discretion of the agency, we would like perhaps some guidance from the court as far as if my client continues to be appropriate at the visits. There's no testimony that she has been inappropriate at the visits, that she's done everything that she's supposed to do, that after a short period of time, they would increase, and that it would we are used to the typical 3 visits at 2 hours per week. And I realize that the child is out of the county, but that's not mom's doing, that the child is out of the county, Your Honor. So we would like consideration. There's something in the background. And so we would like some consideration as far as expanding sooner than later client's parenting time, Your Honor. Thank you.
Ms. Day.
I would echo all of the same requests that the department has. I believe those are all in the best interest of the minor child. I do think the department having discretion at those visits being supervised by the department or a designee or unsupervised is appropriate at this time. And I do believe that, you know, with the minor child being as young as the child is, and with the very few, I guess, at this rate, amounts of parenting time visits that have occurred and have been attended by the respondent mother, I don't believe expanding right away to those 3 visits for 2 hours is necessarily going to be in the best interest of the child. Again, it is a very young child, probably naps a lot, eats a lot. So I think that needs to be taken into consideration in terms of that parenting time.
All right, thank you. The court finds all interested parties are given notice for purposes of today's hearing and initial disposition. It does look like I'm still seeing some positive drug tests for Miss Margaret Gale from relatively recently, including a test collected 10/17/2024. I also know that she's not been able to take advantage of some of those referrals that she could have had already in place because she sort of dropped off the radar for kind of a significant period of time. I want to commend Ms. Bosher for her efforts, including apparently finding Ms. Gale on the side of the road and getting her back on track. So thank you for all the work that you've put into the case. And I do believe that parenting time is being managed appropriately under the circumstances, given those, given the relapse. And that is doubly important considering that Ms. Gale also has some CMH services, which likely also includes medications. And so when we're mixing all those things together, it does create a risk that there could be some unpredictable things happening during parenting time. And with such a young child, we really want to make sure that that's absolutely safe, in addition to making sure that the bond that's being created between the mother and the child is a healthy one, frankly. So we'll look for Ms. Bosher to continue to spearhead what happens with visitation. I agree with Ms. Stang on that point, as well as with Ms. Thomas, that we need to see a period of stabilization with Ms. Gale and real engagement in services. And she's got the opportunity for that in the next report period, and I hope she's able to take advantage of that. I do find our guardian ad litem, as well as our caseworker and our attorneys for that matter, to certainly be in satisfaction of all of their efforts. And thank you very much, everyone, for your time and efforts on this case. The child will remain in the foster care placement. That is the safest and least restrictive place for the infant at this time, given Ms. Gale's continued challenges. She's got to, again, stabilize, not just with regard to her sobriety, but also with housing and employment and some of those services to make sure that she can create a safe and stable environment for herself and for her child in the future. So that will remain in place until our next review, which will be held in conjunction with the putative father hearing. I see that the DNA was submitted on 10/22. Again, kudos, lots of credit to Ms. Bosher there. I read through her efforts to locate both of these gentlemen, and they were a lot. So don't be burning yourself out here, Ms. Bosher, because we need to keep you on these cases, but great job here.
Thank you.
We'll have our review and our putative father hearing on January 21st at 10 o'clock in the morning. Unless there's any questions, that's all for today.
Should my client stick around in the hall for a copy of the order, Your Honor?
Judge, you're muted.
Yep. You know what? Yes, give me 5 minutes and let me see if I can get that around for her. Any other questions?
Mother?
Margaret Gale, mother.
Good, thank you. All right. Well, do you want to tackle the putative father issue first, Ms. Thomas, or would you like to work through the review first? How would you like to handle it?
We can do the putative father hearing first to get that out of the way.
Who would you like to call on that point?
Ms. Bosher, please. Thank you. Good morning, Ms. Bosher. In this case, there were two named putative fathers. Can you please give us an update as to whether, I know your court report has this, so bear with me, but can you please give us an update as to the contact you've had with those named putative fathers and whether DNA was completed?
Yes, so I was able to collect DNA from Ernest Conway and Marquise Washington.
And were either of them the biological father of the child?
Neither of them was the biological father.
And to the best of your knowledge, are there any other named individuals that have been reported to you who could potentially be the child's biological father?
Not at this time.
And at this time, are you asking the court to make a determination that the child's father is unknown and cannot be determined?
Correct.
Thank you. And just to clarify, did you review the results with Mr. Conway and Mr. Washington?
I did.
Did you inform them?
Pardon?
I'm sorry, it was a sloppy asked question. Did you inform Mr. Conway and Mr. Washington the results of the DNA test?
To my knowledge, yes. Ernest Conway has been incarcerated back and forth, it seems like. So initially I mailed it to the Detroit jail. Recently, I just got that back as a return to sender. To my knowledge, he's incarcerated at the Lenawee jail, so I just mailed his copy there. Margaret Gale has informed me that she's notified him. And
okay.
Marquise Washington has been notified via text.
Okay. And did Mr. Washington confirm that he received that?
Yes, he did.
Okay, wonderful. All right, thank you. With that, Your Honor, I have no further questions as relates to the putative father.
No questions.
Questions, Ms. Berger?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Bosher. You may head back to your seat for the moment. All right, Ms. Berger, I'll look forward to, before we do that, Deputy Answer, would you swear in Ms. Margaret Gale, seated by Mr. McCarthy?
You can stay seated. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir. Okay, Ms. Gale, before we get into the review, are there any other names that we should be looking at?
Yes, Draven Morale.
Do you know how to spell that?
I do not know how to spell it. Draven, I believe is the first name.
What did you say the last name was?
Morale, or it's either Morale or Morelli.
Is this the person who lives in this area or somewhere else?
I'm not sure where he lives, where he resides. I do not know.
All right. Well, when you met him, where were you?
I met him long ago, but I'm saying that he's probably, one of the, could be that, yes.
Well, in order to try to find him.
I'm pretty sure I caught a glimpse of him on the other side of Ryan Soto's property. That would have been approximately a week and a half ago. That would have been Hunt Street. Yeah, Hunt Street is where I.
In Adrian?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Do you have any contact information for him?
I do not, no.
No phone numbers?
Nope, no phone number.
Okay, did you ever visit anywhere where he was living?
No.
All right.
I know that there was another place on Hunt Street that he rents, that he rented, I guess, through the housing authority that they had kicked him out of because an associate of mine, Bill Burns, said that he was not allowed to go there. That is all I know of that.
Okay.
But I did see him recently on the other side of Ryan's property.
Ms. Foster, we'll leave it to you to follow up on any additional questions with Ms. Gale to try to look for Mr. Draven Morelli. Or Draven, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we'll continue investigation on the potential putative father. Are there any other names?
Not that I have, no ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Well, does anyone else have any questions for Ms. Gale on this issue?
No, Your Honor.
You know his middle name, date of birth, any relatives around here?
I do not. One relative, I don't know if he is related to Andrew. What is his? I think it's Andrew
You
Lerner.
can just apply those to the worker, right?
Yes,
Okay,
I
great.
will. Yeah.
Ms. Berger, any questions?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Very well. Anything else on this then before we head into our review? Very well. We'll just continue the putative father hearing until next time. Understanding Ms. Washer is going to continue to investigate that. Make a note about that. And in the meantime, Ms. Berger, we're ready for your report whenever you're ready.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. I was able to meet via Zoom with the minor child and his foster placement. And she reports things are going really well, that he is meeting and exceeding all of his developmental milestones. I was also able to speak with the last placement a little bit and kind of get some updates from her as well, as far as how the child was doing before he was removed from her or placed, I guess, in a different placement. But all things seem to be going really well with him. He's adjusting really well. He's fitting in with the other children in the home, and things seem to be going good with him. He appeared to be happy and healthy, and they are placed, I think, in Jackson County. So I do plan to go out there in person for my next visit, but this last one, like I mentioned, was virtual. So at this time, I'm just asking for another review so we can still see if mom is able to make progress or if we're able to find a legal father.
Thank you. Would you agree that the child is too young to express a preference at this time?
Yes.
All right. Testimony today, Ms. Thomas?
Yeah, excuse me. Thank you, Ms. Bosher, or called back. Thank you.
Okay, proceed at will.
Thank you. Ms. Bosher, you've prepared a court report for today's hearing, and your cover page indicates that in addition to the court report, there's the trauma screening checklist for the child, a financial worksheet that was completed by Ms. Gale, some drug screens for Ms. Gale, and then the foster care supervised visitation service agreement for her, and then also the initial assessment. Are there any other documents that have been circulated since you've filed that packet of documents for today's hearing?
No, I did notice I didn't add the actual DNA results from the putative father, so I didn't know if that wanted to be filed with the court today.
Okay. Do you have them with you today?
Not on me, no, but I could file them today.
You can just file them with your next court report.
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you, because that'll help me keep it straight.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then are there any updates or modifications other than the DNA that need to be made to the court report?
There's some minor updates, yes.
Okay. Can you please go ahead and give those to us?
Yeah, so parenting time, the only update I have is that on January 20th, Margaret received her first unexcused visits with foster care supported visitation. She didn't answer her phone until 3:02, which her visit started at 3, and then she stated that she was 20 minutes away, so the supported visitation coach canceled the visit, and that's her first of 4 unexcused visits before being discharged from the program. Psychological wise, we're still working on that. Originally, I referred her to Dr. Haugen in Hillsdale. He informed us that he's not taking clients outside of Hillsdale County anymore. So now I have referred her to Arbor Hills in Jackson, and I spoke to her that she would be able to get, or she stated that she would be able to get transportation and that a gas card would be offered to her as well. We're just waiting for that to be scheduled. The referral's been sent already. Her therapist, Carolyn Mobley, I'm having issues getting records or logs or any documentation from her as well. I've requested multiple times. That's just an issue I'm running into. The substance use assessment has also been an issue. I referred her to CMH. She called and she reported that she does not use any substances, so they can't do a substance use assessment on her. I've asked if I could submit a positive screen, the one that we have, or she should bring it down, but basically they just said they can't force her to do it. So I'm kind of looking for some guidance on that aspect of it. I'm working on doing an updated trauma checklist. I'd like to do one with placement and then another one with mom. And that's all my updates for now.
Where does she receive psychiatric services through?
Dr. Parker, it's Ann Arbor, I believe.
Thank you.
It's all just virtual, to my understanding.
Thank you.
And during this review period, how would you generally describe Ms. Gale's level of compliance with and benefit from her case service plan?
It's hard to say. There's definitely patterns that I'm noticing of her being compliant and then just goes to no communication. I definitely would love to see more compliance and just for longer periods of time.
And given the current, the current circumstances for Ms. Gale, what would you, or how would you describe the child's risk of harm if the child were to be placed in her care?
I think the child's risk of harm would be possible homelessness, possibly being around dangerous individuals, being exposed to possible substance abuse, and lacking from necessities due to financial barriers.
This income report indicates that mom is bringing in or is receiving at least $6,600 a month. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then it says that after debts are paid, her net essentially is $650. Did you discuss the math with her on that?
I haven't, so she filled that out when I wasn't at the office. Our case aide was there to supply that to her. I haven't had a meeting with her about it. We did talk at some point about her attempting to get her bank records and her statements, as that was part of the Housing Help of Lenawee requirements. She did say she would supply me with a copy, but it was going to be difficult for her to get. So I don't know where we are with that, but it hasn't been discussed any further.
And on her income sheet, the financial worksheet indicates that there's employment through home health, but I believe the report indicates that she does not have employment. Do you have any information on that at all?
I'm not sure what that is. Whenever I spoke to Margaret, she hasn't had employment.
And generally speaking, how is parenting time going?
Good. She loves her kid. There's not much you can do at this age, to my understanding. Just a lot of holding and sitting, but she is working on learning like the necessary skills on as he gets a couple months older, like tummy time and all of that. But generally it's been going good.
Okay. And that's all for twice a week at this point?
Correct.
Okay. And are those just 1 hour visits or are they 2 hours?
Twice a week for 1 hour each.
Okay. And if there was any expansion of parenting time, what would you need to see in place before discussing an expansion?
I think just her participating in every single parenting time. And if not, she has to have that communication to why she isn't confirming, why she isn't showing up, why she's not showing. I also think just a bit more time in her supportive visitation. I believe it's a great resource, and I believe she's only had 3 or 4 visits with them, and I think we just need more time.
Okay. Is there anything from your knowledge or anything from your court report that you would like to highlight for the court's attention today?
Not specifically at this time.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions, Your Honor. I'd move to admit the court report and its attachments.
Objection.
No objection.
Thank you. They have received questions for this witness, Mr. McFarland.
It appears as though parenting time is appropriate, what she's doing, correct?
Correct.
A report that she's not bringing something that she's supposed to bring, correct?
Yes, nothing that's been addressed.
Okay. Traditionally, this court typically gives 3 times per week at 2 hours a visit, so there would be a suitable bond between mother and child. Any problem with that?
I have no problem with that if there's more participation.
Is she supposed to call you so far in advance to let you know that she's going to attend a visit?
Yes,
And is it that she's not calling you and that she's just missed on a couple occasions? Is that what I'm hearing?
yes, there's been times where she doesn't confirm with me and then the visit will be canceled, or she hasn't shown as well. She has confirmed and then not shown.
So are you saying, like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but do you want her to show a period of consistency and then expand parenting time? Is that what I'm hearing?
That's what I would be looking for, yes.
What kind of consistency are you looking for? How many weeks? 2, 3, 4, what?
I don't have a specific number, honestly.
We'd like to have some kind of idea of what it might, when parenting time might be expanded. We hear that you want consistency. So over what time would you want there to be shown consistency?
I'd say a month would be good.
And as I hear you, she didn't qualify for a drug program of some type because she has self-reported she had no prior drug usage. Did I hear that correctly?
When I spoke to them, they just stated that she reports not using substances, so they can't set up a substance abuse assessment.
Lastly, there's some providers that aren't supplying medical documentation for you. Has my client signed a release for these?
Yes,
So you could ask your attorney to subpoena these, correct?
I believe so.
Nothing further.
Any questions, Ms. Berger?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay. Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Any other questions, Mr. McCrone?
Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. You may return to your seat. Any other witnesses today, Ms. Thomas?
Your Honor, I'll call Ms. Gale.
All right, Ms. Gale, come on up to our witness stand.
Good morning, Ms. Gale.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you, thank you. Just a few questions. Did you have an opportunity to review the court report that Hunter submitted?
I haven't reviewed it since I don't know if she's sent it by email. The only thing the reason why I was going to raise my hand was just to comment on Central Mental Health, the substance abuse, because I did do a screen for them, and then I guess they reported that I didn't qualify for services that it was going to be, or that I signed up for family therapy, which is not what I did. And Hunter was like, well, I'll check with them. No, ma'am, I did not review. If there was a recent submit, I have not reviewed it as of yet from Hunter.
So Hunter would have provided it to you last week? Do you recall that?
No, I didn't. No, I don't have that information. I don't have that paperwork, ma'am.
Is
if I did review it, then I don't have that paperwork. I don't know in hand.
Do you have access to your email?
Sorry.
Do you have access to your email?
I do have access to my email. Which email are we talking about? Because there was a couple emails that I don't have access into. I think the first one was Margaret Gill. It ends in 89.
There's one that ends in 88, it looks like.
Yeah, I don't have access to that email anymore.
Okay. Your Honor, at this point, if Ms. Gale has not received or reviewed the court report, I'm not sure about moving forward.
Yeah, I inquire for Your Honor, I might be able to resolve this.
If you wish, I mean, the order simply, well, our local practice is to provide the report by email. Ms. Bosher probably would be the one we look for answers to on that point, although it does look like there's a proof of service that indicates it was emailed out, but it is the 88 instead of 89, but that was provided prior. It's up to you. We can approach it a couple different ways. We can either leave it open for questions at the next juncture. Or we can adjourn. Preference, Mr. McCrone?
I have no problems with us proceeding today, so my client knows how she is progressing, and then allowing us the opportunity to readdress this court report at the next hearing, if that's okay with her.
Any objections?
No, I think that's great.
I asked my client if she's okay with that, Your Honor?
Well, Ms. Berger?
Yeah, no objection.
Go ahead, Mr. McCrone.
Is that okay with you?
Sure.
Thank you.
Very good. All right. Did you want to ask her some questions then, Ms. Thomas, about?
Yeah. Yes, thank you. Okay. Ms. Gale, in the report, there's an indication that at that point in time, Ms. Bosher was unaware of where you are living. Do you currently have housing or shelter somewhere?
Right now, I'm staying with a friend right now. I did get approved through the authority to get a 2-bedroom, but did not want to put my name on anything yet because I guess there was some previous concern and confusion about where I was staying. So we didn't want to be like, okay, well, that was where she was residing. Because at one point in time, I was staying and even received my bank card at Ernest's previous address, which is actually Sheila Ware's. So no, I have not, but I'm not renting. I'm not legally renting, but yes, I'm staying with a friend right now. And I did get approved for rent with assistance through the authority. Yes, ma'am.
And currently, are you taking medication for your ADHD?
Currently, no ma'am, I am not. I am not taking medicine for my ADHD at this moment, no ma'am.
Are you taking any medications?
I'm not, no ma'am, I'm not taking any medications.
And the income sheet that you worked on for the agency, are you indicating that your expenses are $650 a month, or that's all you have left over after your expenses?
No ma'am, I was a little confused because my mom had sent me a text saying about SunTrust, and actually Truist used to be SunTrust. So I was approximating a couple CDs before they were broken. That is, so basically I'm still getting the 200 a day. So I guess, what is it, like 6,500? That would be like monthly that I'm getting. So I think I filled that sheet out wrong because I was, I didn't know which account they were specifically asking for, because on the sheet at the top, it's like for budget, it says foster / who else. So I even wrote down, remember when I was confused, I wrote down Selena because I didn't know what I was budgeting, what the budget exactly was for. I'm like, is this just mine or who is this for?
Okay.
So yeah, I was a little confused doing that. But yeah, no, Truist is my bank, and that is what I received my funds, my daily funds. I received 200 a day in Truist. Yes, ma'am.
What are your expenses per month?
So my expenses are just my daily needs, and then putting money away. So I try to put at least $100 away. And that was, usually that's into a Premier account. So it could be fast food, like today, for example, I did get Burger King. That was my breakfast. So it's about, I mean, I would say I'm not spending like more than $40 a day on food. I mean, I really should be spending less, honestly, but it's about what it is now. I mean, like, even though that's not so super expensive, but I spent $19.23 today just on Burger King. So, and I can take that. I'm sorry. Just go ahead. Sorry.
Nope, that's okay. I think the main question here is, you are receiving a significant amount of income per month.
Yes.
Where is the disconnect between having stable housing and transportation?
Oh, I do have, like, I have transportation. I have many people that can give me rides from there. I don't have a car of my own. No, that's for sure. In terms of actually having a place to rent, like, I have been approved, like I said, but didn't want to be just throwing good money after bad, because not only because I don't want to rent from a landlord who either has passed with Ernest, and that's how sticky that situation was. I mean, but like I said, I can get property in my name. So, like right today, like I can literally have Henry draft up something and he can approve it, and I can actually rent, so that you guys can come and check out my environment as it is now. And if that's what needs to be done, I just didn't want to jump in to something and say, okay, here we are, here I am, I'm stable, I'm renting a place, and then it not be, considered. Just because if it does need to go through the housing authority, which is fine, and they're not doing Section 8 anymore. But yes, I mean, that would be helpful to have 3 months paid for, but it's not necessary because I do have money saved up, if that makes any sense.
Okay. And how do you feel parenting time is going?
I feel it's going great. I really like Megan Spears. I like her a lot. We usually do the lessons, like I'll arrive maybe like 10, 15 minutes before we'll start the lesson. And then she'll do her own thing during it while I'm, parenting with Jamil, and then we'll do like kind of a wrap up after the hour, and just hit the key points of the lesson. Like last time we did empathy. Empathy was like a two course thing. So yeah, it's going really well. I like her a lot.
Okay. And Ms. Gale, when is the last time? What would you consider your sober date?
My sober date. Oh, I mean, I've been sober a long time. I guess for me, I don't even know what to say, because it depends on what you consider a relapse. I mean, I consider, if for me, Wellbutrin is the only antidepressant that's ever really worked for me. I know that my mom, and I don't really mean to bring her up in court because I get a little emotional about it, but yeah, I mean, when she was on Paxil, I mean, it was literally like she was on drunk off of her AS. I mean, that's how inebriated it made her. So for me, right now, Mark and I agreed, I'm not on an antidepressant because I don't want that to be misconstrued in court. But I mean, I can't say I don't have a, so to speak, sober date, but I don't use anything. So
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. McFarland?
No, the court, and everybody else is probably doing the math. $200 a day is $6,000 a month, or $72,000 a year. How much do you have saved up?
probably, there's at least 7,000 in one of the accounts. And probably, and I can get that from like when I leave here. I just don't want people to lie and say, well, it was spent on this way. That's like, oh, I don't have business partners. And no, I don't have a job right now. That's very accurate. Thank you, Ms. Foster.
Have you provided proof that this trust money is coming into your bank accounts?
I tried to go to Cincinnati and then I got a little deferred from doing that because Mr. Ryan.
My question just to you is, have you provided proof?
I have not provided, no, sir. I have not provided proof yet, no. And I can do that. I can go to Cincinnati, maybe even later today and get the statements from the bank. I can prove that if I need to.
Well, who's the trustee that's paying you money?
Oh, my dad.
Is he local?
No.
Where is he?
He is in South Carolina.
Can you provide that information to the worker to verify?
Yes, sir.
This?
I can.
There's one more question on the finance issue. Since I'm with the public defender's office, is there a reason why you can't afford your own attorney, since we're basically for people who can't afford attorneys?
I can. I guess I could if that was necessary. I just didn't know it was.
Okay. Housing? Well, let me ask the parenting time. Would you like to have more than 2 hours per week?
I would.
Okay. And did you want to explain why you've missed the visits that you've missed?
I've only missed 2 visits, but yes, I did want to explain that. Basically, for the last visit, I wasn't sure if I was just supposed to be in touch with Megan Spears, because she was like, oh, well, I'm not sure. This was for the visit before that last. She was like, I didn't know if Hunter was still going to be doing the visit given the holiday. I said, well, I don't know. So, because we were still going to do the visit, even though it was, Christmas break and Hunter was off. Well, and then basically the last time I was with Mr. Burns, who he is a taxi driver of sorts, and a girl named Courtney Glover, who kind of has a habit of, I guess, being kind of like the yes girl for someone say that's like Ernest, actually Ernest's father. So I'm not really sure if that had anything to do with it, but we were in Tecumseh. So then I get the text from Hunter and I'm like, okay, well, I get the text from Megan rather. I'm like, we're 20 minutes away. We were supposed to be on the way. And then they were parked in someone's yard. So yeah, I missed the visit because of who was supposed to drop me off at the visit. Yes. I don't know if I'm not trying to be like paranoid. I don't know if that was planned on their end, but yes, that is why I missed the visit.
Can you call ahead of time from now on?
Yes, sir, I can.
Do you need help in any portion of your case service plan?
No.
Nothing further.
Questions, Ms. Berger?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Gale, I understand you were living at Catherine Cobb for a bit?
For a second, yes. And
I just was wondering, it would appear that they asked you to leave, is that right?
Yeah, they asked me to leave. It's Courtney Glover came in and somebody said, well, you've got to leave because there's a violation of confidentiality. And I had no idea what they were talking about. So I don't know if it was that Courtney Glover came in and they were like, here, this is like I don't know.
Okay.
And because I don't know her like that, but she comes in and they're like, well, you have to leave now. And I'm like, okay, that's just kind of weird. Kind of like, why, so I don't know. And I would say even at this point, if they were going to go that route, and I have nothing against Catherine Cobb, but it was just kind of weird. I'm like, well, if you really want to get into a violation of confidentiality, then we need to we need to go through that at this point,
All right. Any questions based on my questions?
No, Your Honor.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. You may return to your seat.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. Any other witnesses today?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Carlin?
No.
Okay. Ms. Berger?
No witnesses, Your Honor.
All right, I look forward to comments in closing, beginning with Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this point in time, I believe that there's still a substantial risk of harm to the child if he were to be returned to Ms. Gale's care and custody today. There are a lot of unknowns. I know that we need more information about her services, and I guess it's questionable how effective they are considering the testimony we've heard today. The testimony we heard today was really difficult to follow, at times nonsensical, and it's concerning, and I think probably difficult for Ms. Washer to be a caseworker and try to piece all of these incoherent statements together to make sense. Ms. Gale is clearly in a transitional phase and unable to provide that stability for the child at this point in time. It is nice to see some engagement especially through the foster care support visitation. It is a wonderful program. It's nice that she is screening. As Ms. Washer had noted, though, there's some inconsistency. And so I think that through time and being more consistent in services and benefiting from those services, that parenting time could be expanded. But we are asking the court not to order additional parenting time. I think that complying with policy is sufficient, and that an expansion of parenting time can be addressed through a family team meeting. But we would like for that to remain supervised. And then as it relates to the putative father portion, we understand that there's an individual that we can attempt to make contact with, and otherwise we'll just ask the court for an alternate service through publication on an unknown putative father. and hopefully have that completed by the next review date, which is something we are also requesting to be held as a permanency planning hearing. Thank you.
Any comments, Mr. McFarland?
Well, the child is young. You're asking for additional parenting time to form a better bond, as young children need to have a great deal of time to bond. I do understand the concern for calling ahead. We're off the air. I think the court would like to know my client's new email address so she can receive down the road any type of correspondence. I think she's addressed the other issues. Thank you.
Ms. Berger, any comments?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. I too am asking for another review period. I would like to see a longer period of engagement, I guess, and some very consistent parenting time and screening, just to make sure that we are moving in the right direction here. But like I said previously, this kiddo is doing well where he is, so I would request that he remain there during the next review period. I don't think that parenting time needs to be expanded just yet, but I would be also willing to address that in a family team meeting sometime between now and the next review period, as long as we get some consistency from mom. Thank you.
Thank you. Court finds all interested parties are given notice for purposes of today's review hearing. I do find reasonable efforts towards the goal of reunification are being made. Spearheaded, of course, by Ms. Bosher, whose testimony as well as court report clearly identified a number of services and referrals that she's making on behalf of Ms. Margaret Gale, and of course monitoring the child as well to make sure that he's developing appropriately and has all of the services and supports that he needs. There is some engagement by the parent here for purposes of visitation. We're going to need to figure out what the disconnect here is for Ms. Margaret Gale, and why she's, despite a lot more income than many of our parents have, unable to provide a safer, stable environment for herself or her child. At this point, she appears to be continuing to appear at parenting times, although I do see a discrepancy between her testimony today and the reports on visitation. She's missing actually up to 25% of her visits. Despite her testimony, she's inconsistent with appointments. She's already missed a supportive appointment, and that's very consistent with some of the observations made by Ms. Sasha Thomas today, which is that things seem a little disconnected. That's unfortunately continuing to provide a significant risk of harm associated with returning the child to her care. The child is well supported where he's at now. That is certainly the safest and least restrictive environment as we wait for Ms. Gale to establish a safe, regular, permanent environment for herself and her child, including housing, routine. Even if she doesn't need a job, she's got to, I mean, ma'am, you've got to figure out if you want your child back or not, is the bottom line. The child's been removed since September 4th of 2024. And as of today, you have nowhere to live and you've not established any sort of routine or permanency for yourself or your child. So you really have to figure out what you want, because at the end of the day, we're here because of your child, and he's doing well where he is now. That is, as the law says, the safest and least restrictive place for him right now, which is foster care. We will be looking at permanency planning at our next hearing, meaning will I require the agency to continue to make referrals and try to help you, or will we simply change direction and look at making where your child is living now his permanent residency? I want to be very clear with you today that I need you to do all the things that you say you may want to consider doing if that's what you're being asked to do. I'm not asking you to do anything. What you have here is an opportunity to put your life together so that you can get your son back. If you don't want to take advantage of that, he has a place where he's well taken care of right now. But it's up to you to show the department and to show the court whether or not that's what you want. So I've put the order together with the rest of the court findings, and we'll have our next review and permanency planning hearing on April 15th at 11 a.m. So if you'll be so kind as to wait just a few minutes, we'll get a copy of this order for you so you can take it with you today. Unless there's any questions, that's it. We are on record today for what's been adopted as the second review and a permanency planning hearing. There's also an issue with the putative father, so there's a continuing hearing on that today as well. The names of our participants, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. Ariel Berger here is the guardian ad litem.
Ms. Sasha Thomas, counsel for the department. Ms. Bosher.
Hunter Bosher, foster care worker with Catholic Charities.
Will you spell it for me, please?
Huntyr, and Bosher is Bosher.
Thank you.
Michael McFarland, representing mother, please introduce yourself.
Margaret Gale, mother. All right, Ms. Thomas, do you have a preference on if we dive right into the review, or would you like to address the putative father aspects of things, or what's your preference?
Your Honor, related, we can address the putative father portion first.
Go ahead.
Okay, Your Honor, I'll call Ms. Bosher, I guess, to start that rather than trying to make argument. Thank you.
Very good. Come on up, Ms. Bosher.
Thank you, Ms. Bosher. As it relates to the putative fathers in this case, can you articulate what efforts have been made to identify potential putative fathers?
Yes, so Margaret, as of this point, has named, I guess we could say 4 putative fathers at this time. So we have DNA tested. 3 already. Markeith Washington, Ernest Conway, and Draven Morale. They have all came back not to be the father. I believe it was on 3/12 when Margaret was at the office with us that she did identify an Angelo. She did say that she was hesitant to identify Angelo as the father, but she did not have a last name and could not provide contact information at that time. It was then on 3/26 that the agency provided a photo of a possible Angelo, and Margaret identified that it was not her Angelo that she was speaking of. And then right prior to this hearing, Margaret did state that she does have contact information for Angelo as she recently met him at the park. So I assume she would be providing that to the agency here soon.
Okay. And has this Angelo individual reached out to the agency independently at all?
No.
Okay, thank you. And at this time, are there any other named putative fathers that need to be tested for paternity?
There is not.
Okay. And then have the results of the paternity test been shared with the individuals who were tested?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, with that, Your Honor, I have no further questions of Ms. Bosher as it relates to the putative father.
Any questions, Mr. McFarland?
Just one. My client identified for you the last name of the individual this morning is Braille, Praile.
No.
Okay, will that help you?
Yes.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Okay, any questions, Ms. Berger?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, why don't you just stay there for a minute? Because I think we're probably gonna have your testimony next. Ms. Thomas, is that where you intend to go with your testimony presentation next after I ask Ms. Berger for her update?
Your Honor, I was actually going to call Miss Gail first, but it doesn't matter.
All right, go ahead and return your seat. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, let's go to Ms. Berger next for your report, please.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, hang on, sorry, we didn't wrap it up. I just sort of assumed that I'd be adjourning the putative father hearing. Is that what we're going to do?
Yes, Your Honor. I think that that's appropriate at this time. I also think that during this review period, we will be requesting publication to an unknown putative father, given the difficulties that we've had in identifying one. We've had this case open since early September, and I think it's just time to wrap that portion up. So yes, just for one more review period, I would ask the putative father hearing be set with the next review.
Any objections?
No.
No objection.
All right, I will continue that then till the next hearing to allow the exploration of the final name that was provided today, as well as the potential publication, given that the three tests have come back as not matched on the names that we have so far. Let's go to Ms. Berger.
Thank you, Your Honor. I was able to do a virtual home visit with the minor child during this reporting period and placement. Placement reports that they've had some, normal winter sickness in their home. There was one incident where they did have to go to urgent care, and the minor child was diagnosed with flu B, so that was a little rough for him. That happened at the end of last month. But placement still reports that he is meeting and exceeding all of his developmental milestones, that he's really liking food. She's not noticed any allergies or aversions or things like that. He's rolling, scooting, almost crawling. He's really developing really well. He does have some sensitive skin, so they try really hard to avoid, anything like with harsh scents or detergents or anything like that. And they do provide special diapers and wipes that don't have, additional chemicals and scents and things like that. She does also report some sleep regression, but I think that's, typical for this age. Sometimes they go through that. And she does report that sometimes the minor child does act differently when there are visits. He kind of sleeps really hard afterwards, and that might just be because of the excitement of the day. He is still fairly young to, exhibit any sort of behavior after a visit. But other than that, she reports that everything is going really well, that they're very bonded, that he's very bonded with the other foster siblings in the home. I was able to also review quickly mom's psych report during this reporting period and also the court report. I am in agreement with the agency that changing the goal at this time would be in the best interest of this minor child. The case has been open for quite some time, and mom is still having positive screens as recent as I believe the beginning of this month. So I do have a lot of substantial concerns there, that we're not really engaged in services. that we're having positive screens, that we're missing parenting time, that we're not prepared for parenting time, things like that. So I would just ask that we either just have one more review period and then consider a goal change, or consider it now. And even if we do have a goal change now, it still gives mom considerable amount of time to really buckle down and try to fully engage with services and do what she's able to do at this point. Thank you.
Okay, all right, testimony today, Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, and I'd call Ms. Gale, please.
All right, come on up to our stand.
Thank you.
Ms. Thomas.
Good morning, Ms. Gale.
Good morning.
Did you have an opportunity to review the report for today's hearing?
Yes, I briefly read it. My attorney was able to get it from Summer right there. And then I just was perusing it briefly, and I no longer have that email. So I do need to update that, but thank you for that.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to just walk through it. Okay. For mental health services, are you engaging in any individual therapy?
I saw Miss Mobley as a therapist. And then we've talked, Hunter's been working to get me established like with someone here so that I do have a local therapist. CMH was saying in the last assessment that I took that I didn't qualify for their services. So it's just to be doing another review with that, or another testing so I could get established with CMH. Was able to reach out to Parker, and he can get an actual psychiatrist. My issue is, I guess, with Miss Mobley's titling, she is a life coach and she's an entrepreneur and she runs People Ready, but she also does the counseling. So I guess that wasn't like meeting up to the quality because she's not a registered LL. She doesn't have her license. Is that the issue? Yeah.
Oh, I was just wondering if you were engaged in individual therapy. So it sounds like you have a life coach, and the report indicates that Ms. Mobley herself indicated that she is not a licensed mental health professional. So other than your psychiatrist, are you receiving any mental health services?
I am not. I'm not receiving any, no, ma'am.
Okay. And the psychological that you participated in this review period, did you review that report?
I have not been able to review that yet. No, I did. It did look like it's just the summary was, at this time, she's not able to parent.
Okay.
I did not look at it fully. I briefly perused what was,
Okay. And employment, are you still unemployed?
Yes, I am still unemployed. I am looking for employment, but like I spoke with Dr. Parker, we don't want it to be the wrong thing. So we were talking about, going the old route and actually looking for like stuff in the newspaper or word of mouth and going by that. I have an interview coming up at a country club, so that should be, good. I just want something kind of private. I want something like secretarial work or like, things that I've done in the past, not necessarily. You got to be careful. I really think that in my case, I don't want to just go back and work at Schmidt Pharmacy in Tecumseh because that's just not where I really want to be. I want to be like behind a desk or doing something, or even doing the home health care again, maybe, but just something that's like, 9 to 5 and easy hours.
Okay. And are you still receiving, I don't know if it's inheritance, but the support from your parents?
Yes. I'm still receiving that.
Okay. And as it relates to housing, are you still in the shared living environment?
Yeah, I'm actually getting out of that because I don't like being in that building particularly. They've had a lot of environmental concerns, and like down in the unit number 4, I believe, the man that lives down there, his sink fell off the wall like 3 days ago, and he's like, it's just not good. So where I'm getting out of there, I may be going through LINAC, but because I have the inheritance, I can also put that up. It's just not specifically supposed to be necessarily for rent, but because I've got to go into a different account, then that's okay. But there is also some resources in Tecumseh that are through a church that I know of, and they were talking about maybe getting me assistance for the first 2 months. I just didn't know if I wanted to be on Killbuck, so that was an issue that I was talking about with Bob Fox, who is a realtor.
Because based on your prior testimony, in the court report, it seems that you're getting about $200 a day, which is $5,600, $6,000 a month. What is that money supposed to be used for?
It's for whatever. It's for, you know, living expenses, whatever it needs to be for, but it's not necessary because it changed. It's like, it used to be just revolving, and it changed because my issues with my brother, in Charleston. So it's basically for whatever I need. I just don't like, I'm not going to just route it to random banks. The trust used to be SunTrust, and that's a Southern bank. So
Could you speak a little slower, please?
yeah, sure. The closest branch is in Cincinnati, Ohio. You mean it's like any bank. I mean, like you can use it anywhere. It's just that's the closest branch. So it's not like it's not a Michigan bank. It's not a Northern bank. But yeah, you can use it. I mean, I use it for my daily needs and then putting away the money for my son. That's what I use.
Okay.
There's not like a stipulation. That was the question.
Okay. And do you have independent transportation?
I don't have a car, no ma'am.
Okay. Do you have a license?
No, I don't have a license right now. I mean, I think my license is valid. I just don't, I mean, it's in South Carolina, I don't have the actual ID.
Okay.
So, I mean, if I wanted to get a Michigan license, which I think we had put on the goals, me and Hunter, didn't we put that on the goals? Me getting a license? Maybe I did that with Tracy, one of the advocates, one of the CPS.
Okay. And then the drug screens, do you dispute any of those positive drug screens?
I did not look at all of the drug screens, which was the last positive screen. Do we have that information?
Yeah. So it looks like on 129, you tested positive for THC, and then there were 2 missed screens, and then 217 tested positive for amphetamines, methamphetamines, and THC. Then the next one was missed, and then the next one was negative. Then there were 2 missed, and then a positive for amphetamines, missed color call, but then you screened and it was negative. Another screen negative. The next one was missed. Then there was a negative screen, and then the last 2, which was on 4.2, was positive for amphetamines, methamphetamines, THC, and cocaine. And then on 4.7, positive for THC.
We need to redo the 4.2, was it?
So you dispute that it should have been positive for amphetamines, methamphetamine, THC, and cocaine?
Yeah, that should not have been positive.
Okay. At the last hearing, you testified that you do not take any medication for your ADHD. Has that changed during this review period?
No, that's this. Yeah, that's changed. Like I'm not on anything. I mean, that's the same.
Okay. So when your doctor reports that he has prescribed you Adderall, are you taking that?
No, I'm not taking that at all. Like I haven't seen him in 2 months. We wanted to actually do a physical meeting when I was get to Ann Arbor because I didn't have the means for transportation. So I did miss, let's see, we had a Teleview health session. It was scheduled, I think, for the 26th. So I rescheduled that. But yeah, well, I'm supposed to go in person to see him. So I haven't been able to get to Ann Arbor. Yeah.
And so then and then for parenting time, there's been some missed visits, and then especially related to the foster care supportive visitation. What was the barrier to those parenting times?
That was upsetting. I had a man who I'm no longer involved with, and I didn't think I was really involved with him in the first place, but his name is Israel, and he was like literally trying to prevent me from going to that. And he was like, I'm about to knock you out. He stole the phone. I didn't have a phone. And literally Hunter and Veronica came over to 242 division, thank God. But yeah, we were having some issues with the environment. And yeah, Israel Vela, who I need to get a restraining order on, I actually told Hunter the other day that I was going to do that. And she's like, the best thing to do for him and Ernest or whatever you're dealing with is to go and ask what your options are. So I have not done that yet. When I saw Angela, who was like, I really do want to be involved, but I'm gonna have you like be very, very, choice on your words. Like, don't say a lot. I said, yeah, I'm kind of feeling that way too, because it's always an issue. But yes, that was the issue with missing. Was it the week before last? So yeah. And I really feel bad about it because it's upsetting to me and I really want to see my son.
Do you understand that at this time, the agency's report is recommending that the goal for your child turn from reunification to adoption?
Yes, and I'm upset about that.
Okay. And during this review period, how would you summarize what you have been doing to work on your case service plan?
What I've been doing, which has obviously been futile, I've tried to establish housing, which I did temporarily on Division Street. And like I said, I'm trying to completely get out of that environment because they were redoing apartments. It's just not a stable place. There's some environmental concerns like the sinks, the paint, the lead chips, just the entryway downstairs. There's got to be a lot of stuff that happens to that apartment. And then the unit that I was in, the carpet is absolutely disgusting. And he had some relatives from before. So it's just not the best place. So for me, trying to get established in a rental type situation, I actually was offered a place on Church Street through a friend of mine, Greg, but I didn't want to take him up on that because of his wife or his ex-wife, Liz, being one of, I guess, the landlord, and she's just one of those, she's very petty about stuff and she's nasty. So because of that, I did not go live it on Church. And then LINAC just needs another copy that the goal is reunification so they can provide the, whatever it is, first month rent in a 2-bedroom apartment. However, like I was saying, I do think that I'm going to be living either west of Tecumseh or go that way and not stay in Adrian necessarily. So did I even answer the question correctly? The summary, what have I been doing? Oh yes,
that's okay.
And then part of that is trying to regularly attend the supportive visitation, going to visits, and just whatever I need to do, trying to go to get that evaluation at CMH. The first one, they were like, oh no, you don't qualify for services. I did get another copy. So I need to go establish therapy locally. I guess that's what another goal would be, to establish a local therapist, because my therapist does live in Florence, who, that's in South Carolina. However, she's able to, communicate with me and counsel, because we have, WhatsApp or Zoom or by phone.
Okay. And then are there any other services or referrals that you think the agency should make or could make that might be helpful in progressing in your case service plan?
Yes, I think that maybe, let's see. Services. Maybe like, maybe some sort of like maybe group support services. I don't know what maybe for other single moms, but I don't know, because I don't have a large social network. Maybe I'm trying to think what other referrals they could give. Can you ask?
Okay. I mean, that's maybe something that you and Ms. Bosher can discuss. I was just wondering if there's anything
Thank you for bringing
in particular.
that up, though. No, I appreciate that, because that'd be a good thing to talk about.
Thank you. With that, Your Honor, I have no further questions for Ms. Gale. Thank you.
Mr. McFarland?
I think your testimony is that you get $200 every day of the year, correct?
Yes, sir.
You realize that's $73,000.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you said you have money saved up for your son. How much money do you have saved up?
About $5,000.
How much money do you have saved up for yourself?
I don't have anything in my name. No, I haven't put anything. It's all for him. You
realize that probably the most expensive housing you could get, rental, is only $1,000 a month, perhaps, which would be $12,000 a year.
Yes.
You've heard the come to Jesus moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to be your attorney, not your friend. And the court's heard your response that you're giving today at every single court hearing earlier. Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What do you need to do to change your life?
I need to get out of Adrian. I am going to talk with Bob Fox, because we're supposed to see some houses.
Let me ask you, rephrase that. What are you going to do differently? Because the expectation may be that you're using your money on drugs because you're testing positive, and no testing is considered positive. So what are you going to do different? Let me put it that way, other than what you've already mentioned in the past.
Stay away from substance, stay away from people, places, or things that are upsetting to me. Get the restraining order on the 2 men. If I need to go to like a 2-week stability rehab, I can do that. Go ahead and let Ms. Mobley know that we are also looking for another licensed counselor. Check in with Dr. Parker and get to Ann Arbor within the next week, because I've got the appointment coming up. Make sure that I have that money for transportation. If not, I can pay Jeff's rides in advance, even if it is $350, those things.
You and I have had a discussion about what the case service plan is, correct?
Yes, sir.
What's your understanding of what a case service plan is?
What a case service plan?
Yeah, what is it?
Like what I need to comply with in order to, for reunification to happen and for us to do the no contest.
Okay, great. And we've also discussed, haven't we, the urgency with time, that time in a child's life is not the same as time in an adult's life, right? Is there anything else that we can do that you think that can prevent a petition for termination from being filed?
I would like, if possible, to do the 2-hour visitation, consolidated time, and not have it twice a week. That would be helpful to me. I don't know if that would be an option. That's what that would really help me, because then I can plan for the week and I can make sure that, like, okay, here we are. I've had my visit with him for the week. I don't have to feel, I miss my son like that. It's, you know, I would prefer that we do it Mondays and have the 2 hours with him, and unless we're considering increasing the amount of time, which would be amazing too. But if not, I would like to just consolidate it to a 2-hour block instead of having the 1 hour and then another hour.
Yeah. Do you want more parenting time?
Yes, I would like more parenting time.
Would that mean more days? Do you want more days?
Yes.
How many more days could you have parenting time?
At least another 2 more days.
So a total of 3 days?
Yeah, I mean, if it was an option, I would see him every day, but I don't think that's an option. Yeah, I would like that.
Okay. Any other issues that you want to bring up to the court today?
No, just the struggles with the exes, which is not an excuse. It's just, I really don't know. I mean, and I can't fight anymore. Maybe if I was a whippersnapper at 21, I mean, here I am at 39, and I'm not going to be threatened, like, you know, by a 6-foot man. It's like, okay, yeah, I get the deal, but it's with the reference to the environment in the past, like, that is a big issue with me. So I do need to file that today. It's got to be a restraining order, because then the sister had access to my old phone, and I can't have that. Like, that's got bygones are bygones. There's no, with that reference to that family, those children, even if it is like a nice uncle, they don't have anything to do with my child. And
yeah, I think we understand the protection order.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Nothing further. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions, Ms. Berger?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Gale, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
You testified as to your income, is that right?
Yes.
What do you spend all that money on?
That's funny you asked that. For me, it's like, if I would rent a room, but I have not been able to do that since Ernest has been back in town. And so that's the issue with that. But for me, it's basic living. So it's, you know, whatever the child needs, it's clothes, it's, you know, food. I do spend that on food. I did fill out the bridge card information and was awarded food stamps. I think April 5th, they said they put the money on the card, but I never received the card. So I ordered it again and to 242 division, and I've been checking the mailbox and it has not arrived. So that is another thing that getting food stamps was on my list, but I did apply for that. So for me, it's food. And there was an issue with Israel taking the card. I remember when Hunter and I went to Jackson, he had taken the card beforehand. So I don't know. It's all of those past people that I don't need to deal with. For me, I don't have a problem budgeting that money and then putting it away for, I think there was a period of 3 weeks that I saved $100 a week. So that added to what I had already in the savings.
So you're spending $200 a day on food?
No.
So where's that money going?
What do you mean? Like, I spend it on food, yeah, for me, but like that's not 200 a day worth.
Right. So
Like,
if you're
I'm
getting
saying
$200
food,
a day, then what are you spending all of that money on?
As gas,
For what vehicle?
gas for the guy that dropped me off here, Zeke, Isaiah. ugh.
Okay.
Like that would be $40. Like for Jeff's rides, when I went to the eye doctor the other day in Tecumseh, that was $48 just to get there. I mean, if it's that much of an issue over my debit, which I know it has been in the past, and it has been an issue with my inheritance, and that does have to do with Ernest Conway, like that, I don't want to get into all of this now, but it seems to always be a focus, and I can understand, what are you doing with your money? If it's an issue, I can close that bank and just have nothing to do with it, because it gets back in, and I'm not really close to my mom, and I don't want it to be an issue of, okay, we don't have the jurisdiction now because we're bringing in stuff from South Carolina. I don't want to deal with it. So, I mean, and I'm not being defensive. It's a fair question, but I thought I needed that for my son to be putting away money. If it's going to be an issue of, well, who had a lot, you know, what are you doing with it? Then it does need to come out of it, because I don't want to lose my son because of that.
Are you sending any of that money, or any supplies to his foster home?
His foster? No, I have not sent them anything. And I thought about that. I was like asking, what was her name the other day? She's a little black lady who lives on Hunt Street. She was like, I was like, do you think that would be rude if I was buying him clothes and you know, bringing the clothes to the visits, or buying him anything else? And she was like, well, you just need to ask first. That's what she said. I didn't know.
Okay, no other questions. Thank you.
Any redirect, Ms. Thomas?
Ms. Gale, I and just, I want to be clear, we're not concerned about the fact that you have money. That's a very positive thing. I think the questioning is more about how it's being utilized or who has access to it. The report indicates that you don't have your debit card. Where's your debit card?
My debit card is with Zeke right now, the guy who dropped me off here. And
why does he have it and not you?
That's what I said, but it's better than somebody like, yeah, well, Ernest is in town, and I'm not gonna let them do you like that in court. I'm like, I don't believe you, but you can say that, but at least I'm not dealing with an ex. He's not an ex of mine. I'm not involved with him like that. And he's remained professional about it. He's like, so that's why. But I do not, you know, that is why I don't have it. And I'm literally, when I call him, he's literally giving it to me, and then we're going to come see. So I've got things I've got to do. I mean, I've got to go check in the Anklin Eye and see if they can order my contacts. This whole thing. So, sorry.
Okay. All right. Thank you. With that, Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Any recross?
No, thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. You may return to your seats. Your next witness, Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll call Ms. Bosher to give her report.
Ms. Bosher, come on back after a witness stand. You have been sworn. Remain on the record.
Thank you, Ms. Bosher. Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Bosher, for this court report, are there any updates or modifications that you need to make to it, or any of the attachments?
There's some minor updates, yes.
Okay, can you please provide those?
Yeah, so parenting time in regard to that, Margaret has to now be at the office an hour before the scheduled parenting time. I have explained this to her. This is due to her multiple confirmations and then just not showing up. So essentially the baby is traveling an hour there, waiting 15 minutes, and with Margaret not showing up, then traveling back. So we have discussed it with Margaret. She has said it's not an issue. She comes in an hour before. This has happened once, and she puts her stuff down. She even walked down to the food bank to check that out. So that is now our new plan for parenting times. Also a little confusing, which I haven't had the time to, I guess, ask Margaret about this, but it was on Sunday, the 13th. She confirmed a visit with me on my work phone, and then she also showed up to the office. It's to my assumption that she got her days of the week confused and was thinking that it was maybe Monday. I did text her on the Monday to the number that she confirmed that Sunday visit with, but I do not believe that's her number, so I didn't receive a response. I guess that is all of my updates.
Okay. I know at the last hearing, there were some concerns about not receiving essentially therapy notes from Ms. Mobley, and your report indicates that it seems like you were able to speak with her finally.
Yes, I was able to get a hold of her. Prior to that, I was emailing her, trying to receive some reports, and I just wasn't getting responses. This kind of adds up now, as she's not a licensed therapist, and she explained herself as a mentor to Margaret And so she wouldn't have therapy notes or any such things like that.
Okay. And then your report indicates that I think I'm understanding this correctly. You've made 3 referrals to CMH for Ms. Gale for,
Yeah.
is it mental health and for substance abuse?
Yes, so she's able to get both assessments done there. I verbally told her multiple times that she does need to go there and get those assessments straightened away. And then I've given her 3 physical copies of the referral.
And have you assisted her on the intake call, or have you been present during like the intake call to access?
I haven't been present for an intake call. I have offered that I can be present. I have called CMH and essentially figured out what she needs to do to go there. I believe it is included in my referral that she needs to talk to an access clinician and figure it out from there. But I would be more than willing to go down there with her as well.
Are you under the impression that she's reporting that she does not use any substances?
Yeah, so I'm under the impression that when she was requesting a substance use assessment, that she reported that she does not use substances. So CMH essentially cannot do anything with that because she's not reporting the use.
Okay. And then generally speaking, what is the risk of harm to the child if he were to be returned to Ms. Gale's care and custody today?
I think generally it'd be homelessness or the lack of stable housing, financial mismanagement, the need to address her mental health and possible inability to make sound decisions for herself or her child. And then just honestly, with the financial mismanagement, the lack of daily necessities that would be required for the baby.
The psychological that you've included in this report indicates that it does not appear that Ms. Gale could be, that she's competent to be a primary caregiver for her child. Have you ever discussed with Ms. Gale or any of her supports the potential need for a guardian or a conservator?
I haven't discussed it with Margaret herself. I would say it has come up with her mentor, Carolyn Mobley, but it hasn't been dived into.
Okay, thank you for that. And then generally speaking, what other services is the agency looking for her to complete, or any referrals that you can make at this point in time?
I think for extra referrals that could be beneficial. So I have given her 2 referrals to a financial empowerment class that's online. I believe they're ending soon, but I did give her 2 physical referrals and the information for that. I did also inform her that if she needed access to a computer, that she could utilize ours. And then also if she needed help with the signing up process, I could help with that as well. Also referrals that come to the top of my head, domestic violence referrals could be beneficial. And then also referrals that could come from a substance use assessment, just based on the recommendations off of that. And then also, as she stated, I don't think it would be harmful for her to get into a single moms group or group therapy additionally. And if she's willing to do inpatient, I wouldn't be opposed to getting that court ordered as well.
Wonderful. Is there anything else that you would like to report to the court today as relates to Ms. Gale's compliance with and or benefit from any services during this review period?
I just think generally this reporting period, there's been minimal compliance, just inconsistent drug screens, and then also positives, inconsistent with parenting times, inconsistent with parenting necessities like bringing a diaper bag or knowing where her diaper bag is. I just think with about 8 months into this case, our goal is to look at the permanency for the baby at this time and what the best options are for that.
And at this time, are you asking the court to change the goal from reunification to adoption?
Yes.
All right, thank you. With that, Your Honor, if no further questions of Ms. Bosher, I move to admit the court report with its attachments.
No objection.
No objection.
Thank you. They have received questions for this witness, Mr. McFarland.
Just one. When you say you're asking this court to change the goal to adoption, are you asking the court to order you to file a petition for termination of parental rights?
Not at this time, no.
So what are you asking for, a dual goal of adoption and reunification?
I think the goal could be changed to adoption with the concurrent goal being reunification. But I think with a reporting period with the goal of adoption, we could see if there is substantial progress being made in the right direction. And if there is not, then a termination petition could be requested.
Just refresh my memory, how long has this case been open?
About 8 months.
Okay, nothing further.
Questions, Ms. Berger?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Do you have any contact with Ms. Gale's extended family? Like her, I think I read that she has another child that's already living with grandparents. And she obviously spoke to some sibling connections. Does the family have any involvement with Margaret or any idea what's happening?
They do to an extent. I don't personally talk to them as much as I know my supervisor has had minimal contact with them as well. But essentially we've confirmed that she does receive that $200 a day, and that was our biggest aspect of reaching out to them. We wanted to confirm that.
Well, the child is in an unrelated foster care placement, right?
Correct.
So tell me what was done to look at potentially exploring family placements.
So they, from our knowledge, they're not willing to take placement of the child right now. They are elderly, they are older. We have told them that he is in a safe and secure placement that loves him, that he's being well cared for, and they are over the moon about that. They just want him to be cared for and loved.
Questions based on my questions?
None.
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor, thank you.
I thank you for your testimony and your comments. Any other witnesses today, Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor.
Witnesses today, Mr. McFarland?
None.
Ms. Berger?
No, Your Honor.
Very well. Comments in closing, beginning with Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm looking at my notes from our last hearing in January, and this court found that reasonable efforts were being made because there were several referrals and services being offered to Ms. Gale. There were some issues with parenting time. She was missing about 25% at that period of time. And based on her testimony, there was a lot of disconnect and it was confusing. This court had reminded Ms. Gale that she needs to decide what she's going to do because right at that point in time, her behaviors were concerning. This court was not going to ask her to do anything other than remind her that she had an opportunity to put her life together and to get her son back. And if she doesn't want to do that, then he's in a place where he's well taken care of. Your Honor, I think that those comments still apply today, and perhaps even more so. I am concerned for Ms. Gale and her safety, her awareness and ability to manage life decisions for herself, let alone for her child. I don't think that based on what we have in a court report and the psychological and the proofs that we've had in the last 8 months or so, that we can safely return this child within any reasonable amount of time. I think that this is also evident from the fact that she has an older child who is not in her care and has never been in her care. Your Honor, we are asking the court to change the goal to adoption and allow the agency to make efforts towards finalizing that goal. And of course, we'd continue to monitor Ms. Gale's progress. But Your Honor, at this point in time, we don't often have families or parents who have such significant financial resources and still unable to maintain a level of independence and safety for themselves, let alone their children. And in this case, we have someone who has that and still hasn't done some of the bare minimum that we would anticipate a parent to be able to manage on their own. It's like having a state license or state ID, having independent transportation, having independent and safe and suitable housing, being able to protect against individuals who are harmful and or exploit her for her money or something else. And Your Honor, it's very concerning. I really hope that she is safe and okay at this point. We cannot in good conscience ask the court to consider anything other than adoption for this child and his safety long-term. Thank you.
Mr. McFarland?
Your Honor, I've tried to express to my client with my questions in our discussion prior to court that she's on the edge of a cliff, that she needs to step back, turn around and put her money where her mouth is, so to say. And we would like to have another opportunity to avail herself of community mental health, which will address the substance abuse issues, which she's not denying, which will also address the mental health issues she's not denying, which may also then turn around her ability to obtain housing, to break away from the individuals who she's been hanging around with who are
not contributing. I don't see them in court here supporting her today, not contributing to the return of her kids. So if the court is inclined to proceed to termination, we'd ask that be a dual goal, not only termination, but also reunification to give her another period to demonstrate that she's capable of doing it. Thank you.
Ms. Berger.
Thank you, Your Honor. I am in support of the agency's request at this point. I do have a lot of concerns for mom, but more so I have concerns for this child if he were to be returned to her in this state. So I think that it's appropriate to change the goal. I think that it would be appropriate to order the department to file a termination petition now, but if they want to wait and give mom a little bit more time to see if she's able to come into compliance, then I would be okay with that as well. But the case has been open for a relatively long time for basically a newborn at the point he came into care. So I think we need to really start looking at realistically what we're going to be doing in this case. And I think that having a goal change or even a dual goal would move us in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you. The court finds all interested parties were given notice for purposes of today's review and permanency planning hearing. There were some areas that Ms. Gale was asked to remedy in order to have the child return to her care. That included housing and typically I would say employment, but in this case it would be financial literacy in order to be able to maintain things like housing, transportation, basic needs for herself and her child. That would of course expand into being able to meet his medical needs, his physical needs, his educational needs. It's been difficult to identify the barriers keeping Ms. Gale from making progress on those particular aspects of her own life. And although she appears to care about her child, perhaps the struggle to identify those barriers that get in the way of her making any progress is not something that is, at least at this point, surmountable. The court has listened to her testimony for 2 court hearings at this point. I've reviewed all of the documentation. I've listened to Ms. Hunter Boscher's testimony, but all of which certainly constitutes reasonable efforts towards goal of reunification. I appreciate, for example, the referrals that you left in here, specifically the piece on financial empowerment classes twice. I saw that you referred her twice to those classes, once in March and once in April. Those are the kind of things that we needed Ms. Boscher to do in order to allow Ms. Margaret Gale to potentially make some progress. The rest of it really was up to her. It would appear at this point in time that there has not been any progress made in those areas. There was a reference in I believe in the court report about the individual that Ms. Margaret Gale sees regularly, her life coach, which is a great resource for her to have. But essentially, her life coach indicates that Margaret seems to be content with her circumstances. The psychological assessment that was completed by Mr. Brent Smith also indicates that she seems to be, frankly, content with her circumstances. Some rather significant remarks, especially from a professional, included Ms. Gale is not currently competent to be the primary parent to her son. There were some other pieces there in support of that, noting that her mental health has greatly impacted her ability to make safe and informed decisions regarding her child's care as well as her own, which is clearly something we're seeing repeated here. In the last 8 months that the child has been removed. But perhaps most significantly, I noticed that the doctor indicates the clinical interview, this is page 4, last full paragraph, revealed numerous concerns regarding Ms. Gale's abilities to parent her child in a safe and effective manner. This is also supported by previous psychological testing completed in 2016 and 2017. Previous testing revealed a lengthy history of mental illness beginning in childhood. She's expressed she loves her son, which I think everyone can see that. However, fails to follow through with the necessary life changes to allow her to effectively parent. So I think that pretty much says it succinctly. It's been said in several different ways today by Ms. Boscher, supported by Ms. Berger, and frankly supported by the observations that the court has made on those barriers that continue to prevent the court from returning her son to her care. I will note that the initial disposition entered in November. November 1st of 2024 is when Ms. Margaret Gill was delivered her case services plan. So we are in fact not at the 6-month mark of the opportunity for her to make progress in these areas. I will agree that a dual goal is appropriate, given that, given the findings that I just made about the potential improvement in the circumstances. But in all fairness, she should be given the opportunity that most of other parents are given, which is at least 6 months of efforts in order to begin or make any changes that she may be able to make. So I'll give you the dual goal, and we'll have the next review to look at the circumstances as well as permanency planning options in July, on July 8th at 9 o'clock in the morning, if everyone's available. Ms. Berger, does that work for you?
It does, Your Honor. Thank you.
Great. Okay. So we'll do this review then at 9 a.m. in conjunction with the permanency planning hearing, as well as the continued putative father hearing. In the meantime, the child will remain under the care and custody of the Department of Health and Human Services and placed with the department in the same home that he has been. He seems to be doing well there. And we're grateful for the foster care home's care of Ms. Gale's son as she tries to remedy some of the issues that brought him into care. And we'll look at the case and determine whether or not a petition for termination should be filed at the next review. What that means, frankly, is that the department needs to be ready for that filing, Ms. Thomas, at the next review hearing. Ms. Bosher, I'm sure that will include you helping prepare that. If the circumstances are the same as what we've seen today, I will be ordering that the department file the petition for termination of parental rights within 28 days of our next review hearing. So if you're ready to do it when we get here, we can schedule it appropriately. We can manage the docket as well as the case progress in an ideal way. All right. I don't think I forgot anything, but if I did, feel free to ask. Unless there's any questions, that'll be all for today.
We're off the air if you could get my client's new email address.
Thank you. And I'll have the order for her in the minutes following today's.